Welcome to the grim, lawless 23rd century, following the fall of U.S. Gov and mass depopulation of major cities at the hands of the multi-trillionaire de Huberton family. Baptized in radioactive hellfire, a rare mutation makes Turbo a fiercely pumped scrapper, haunted by specters from her past, surviving the post-apocalyptic wasteland one deathmatch pit fight at a time. But when she rescues the stunning trophy girl, the unlikely duo are thrust into a harrowing odyssey, evading marauding berserkers at every turn on their way to the ultimate showdown as they uncover the horrific truth behind the fall of humanity.
Good morning, Jake.
Hello, Kurt. Good morning. Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Making Turbo Pit Fighter, where we're making a sci-fi post-apocalyptic comic that looks like this or this, depending which edition you buy. Whoops. Oh, it's raining comics. So, welcome to another Sunday. We're here live, and we're going to draw. We're going to talk. We're going to ink, and we're also planning. I have some stuff to go over with Kurt that I went over. But, what we've been talking about for quite a while is collaborations. And we're proud to announce that Doom Magazine came out a little while ago. We're going to be having copies of this at the IC3 Con. You can also order these online. But this is our collaboration compilation. So
Anthology. Technology.
Yeah.
It's an anthology.
Yeah, it's an anthology, and it has multiple collaborations. So if you're watching this and you're somebody that's looking to collaborate, maybe you're an artist and you don't have a writer, or maybe you're a writer and you want to write some 6-pagers or some sequences, could be longer. Or maybe you're an inker that wants to work on some pencils, or maybe you're a penciler and you want to have somebody else do your inks, have some fun. All those things are possible in our end of the world timeline, and we are updating this all the time. So we have all these different characters and storylines. Kurt, I did send you a copy of an email exchange or a communication exchange that I had with somebody off Reddit. And they might be interested, although they're not that professional or that far along. Seems like their art's pretty nice, and they might be interested in doing a collab. So, did you check out that artwork?
I did, and I've saved it. I wanted to respond here live because we have had this conversation before, but I want to break it down this way. I just want to welcome everybody to Jake's house. I've been saying this for years. When we were all kids, I know Jake and I experienced this. There was always a buddy that after you got your comic books, either from the 7-Eleven or if you did get a comic book store, in your town or over the town over or whatever, you would ride your bikes back to that guy's house, and then you get down in the basement or on the living room floor and you got through those comic books, and there would even be maybe some drawing and writing sessions going on there. So I've been saying that, I'm hanging out with Jake at his house, going back to those teen years and everything. But that also means for you as well, guys, because last week I was really, really blown away for how many people that came and hung out with us on the in the chats and everything. It really felt like it was more than just Jake and I. So my response to your email and going forward from here, if anybody wants to contribute, it's as easy as this. Do a turbo pinup. We had 3 sketches that we put in the back of Doom Mag's number 1. And, I was super excited to get these. We got Ralph Nixon Jr., we got Noah Liasiani, and then Gautam Shioran. And these all popped up, randomly throughout the years. And I just said to Jake, let's put them in here. But the biggest thing that Jake can be very finicky about, and I think it just makes it easier on everybody, is if you do that pinup, then it gives Jake the ability, because Turbo is very visually in his mind about what style of strong female that we're going for. So it's just a great place to hear feedback from us, because of course we'll throw it online. I mean, live right here on the Turbo. Maybe even have you on as a guest. But the person that you sent, I can't remember their name, but every time you send me something, I'm like, dude, this is great, professional or not. It's great. The only thing is, and this is just coming from my side of the fence, no sequentials.
Right, and the person said that they're really like trying to transition. They don't have too much experience with sequentials. They're basically been doing pinups, So I was like, yeah, we can, we can work with you. We can take a baby step. We'll see if we can, figure something out. But yeah, it's always fun. Yeah, people, it's great when people send us unsolicited Turbo pinups. That's great if you feel like doing that. To my mind, you don't have to, because it's, to me, it's like, your art stands on its own, and you don't have to draw like our character. But what we would do is, just to make sure that this fits within the world that we've created, is we'll work with you to figure out what you like to do. Maybe you like to do robots, maybe you like to do monsters, maybe you like to do mutants, whatever kind of subgenres you're into. And then we make a script together, and then you could you either do it or you don't. And if it's done and it's finished and it's pencils and inks, then we can run it and do magazine. So it's a great experience, and we had a good time doing that with Do Magazine #1, and we're already halfway along with Do Magazine #2 to continue the collabs. What we're working on, what you're seeing Kurt put up right there, is something different. That's Turbo Pit Fighter, which is our flagship comic, and we're making progress on pencils and inks. We have #1 all penciled and inked, and we're going to be switching over to finishing the production, including the word balloons and the inside and front and inside back covers, so that we can actually print it. So we're not that far away, but we still got to do that production part. And so that's exciting. But yeah, we're always thinking about characters, storylines, and this is all in the future, sci-fi in the future. But there's a lot going to happen in the future. It could be any country, could be on Earth, in space. It could be related to robots, could be related to action scenes, could be related to even something as left field as kung fu. We have a kung fu sequence that's going to be going in. So
well, here's the question. Let me jump in.
Let
me jump in, because we're sending two different signals, I think, right now. And I think if we can get like super specific, because everybody wants to put their best foot forward, and everybody, even professionals, have this like feeling of like, will my work make the grade? Will it fit the readership, the fans, the audience? So Jake, let me just ask this question. If I would, like, I didn't know you, and I was watching you and Kurt watch it, I didn't know you guys, from a hole in the wall, but I've been watching you guys for a while, and I've been just doing my own doodling and drawing and comics and everything. And of course I got a page somewhere I posted on something like Reddit and everything. It's one thing to like send your work out, but it's another thing to receive feedback. I don't like saying positive feedback, because that's a waste of time. I think the more negative feedback that you can receive on your work is better. But the second thing is that connection to, and I think this is what you're speaking to, is, what you would ask me, like, all right, Kurt, what are you really into? List the top 3 things. Oh, I like big girls, I like swords, and I like tentacle monsters. What
Right.
would you do for that in an email response? Having seen my, let's say, high school level grade art.
Yeah, I would say, well, if you want to check all those boxes, we can make a script that checks all those boxes. And I wouldn't do it right then and there in an email, but I would say, like, if you want to commit to doing pencils and inks or pencils or whatever, and you like drawing those kinds of things because that's your strength, then let's do it. I don't. There might be some topics that are like deal breakers. Like if they want to, if they want to say, well, we want to do, I want to do a Western,
Yeah.
oh, that won't really, fit. Or, I want to do, comics about football or sushi, I'm like, all right, that might be a stretch. But, there's always a way, in comics, there's always dream sequences. There's always like all kinds of stuff that you can do. And, I'm always just thinking about, the future. I've been thinking a lot about, reality and fiction. They call it speculative fiction, where it's like
Yeah.
sci-fi that really anticipates the technologies that are coming online now in real life. And that's a very interesting, place to be. But then there's fantasy and suspension of disbelief, enhanced humans, other kind of creatures. Some people like maybe vampires might be a little bit of field for us. But I've thought about like this character that I'm drawing right now. This is kind of like if anybody's familiar with Tigra or Werewolf by Night, this is like a cat person character, and it's not one but two. It's Silverina and Silverella. I was thinking about how come they're in the future, are they going to be able, and this is a serious question, are they going to be able to change the characteristics of people so much that they could actually develop, a person with cat-like traits? And you might laugh hearing that, but we are already now at the point. There's a technology called CRISPR, and they are already at the point where they are already determining sex, hair color, eye color, tall, short, that kind of stuff. The technology is mostly concerned with, can we eliminate diseases, prenatal, diseases that we can tell in the womb, so that you can tell, pregnant mothers, like, oh, your baby's going to have, Down syndrome, or your baby's going to have, some kind of thing. There's a test for that. There's amniocentesis, I think it's called. So what's going to happen like 50 years from now or 150 years from now?
I'll be dead.
With that technology. Right. We will all be dead. But
well, I'm not speaking for you. I'm speaking for me.
Well, if you're not a sentient, like, there is a possibility you could be kept alive artificially by iron lung and
no, thank you.
Right, I've had enough. I'm gonna pack it in.
No, I do not want to be 100 years old. I'm not interested. I'm actually interested in the Soylent Green model, if everybody knows what I'm saying. So of life expectancy. So
yeah, 100 isn't even artificial. Like, that's not even artificial. There's plenty of people that live to 100, but the question is, like, will technology, especially like other countries where they don't really follow any kind of like scientific ethics protocol, are they making human clones already? Is that in the works? But can you do enhancements or experiments, let's say, and can you create a cat person or a or a different animal, like a dog person or anything, that maybe they want to take like certain traits of a turtle or certain traits of microscopic life to be like more resistant to radiation, or more resistant to temperature fluctuation or whatever. So we're just asking these questions now in 2026. Maybe somebody will laugh at this one day in the future, because of what really happens, and the kind of like guessing that we're doing, but this is speculative fiction, and this is also, predictive fiction. And I don't think it would be too hard to once they really break the quantum riddle, and they really have all these kind of like advanced technologies for sperm and egg, and um, kind of like creating desirable traits. I don't think it's too far away to say, well, we can make it have fur all over their skin, or pointy ears, or something like that. I don't know. But for now, it's a lot of fun. It's fantasy, and we have characters like that already in comics, and so I just, this is like a little stopover, in case somebody wants to do, hey, I like werewolves, or I like anthropomorphs, then we're like, hey, I got a couple characters for that. What else?
But he also, I mean, let's just one more time, just like create the clarification, because we do the end of the timeline, the end of the world timeline is, these are all features of comics that you would love to see come to life. Now, we're already Casualties down, Chronicle of the Dukes down, Company Man, right? What else? What else?
Company Man is a script that was written, yeah.
All right. So, I mean, but once again, I'm also speaking to people who are going to be getting comics of ours, because this is our first comic book, that would, like I said, love to contribute, and they would love to just pipeline in, like with Crown the Barbarian, I've got 14 free scripts, and I'm working on more, and actually am going to be getting more from others as well. But the idea of like making it an easy pipeline to get involved. I still go back on not only a Turbo Pit Fighter. I would amend it to the kind of character that you would like to see come to life in a comic book. Is that kind of like bridging the gap between us?
Yeah, well, you want to make comics that you think are fun. I mean, Kurt's talking about sword and sorcery because that's his love and his subgenre, but but I gotta say, Kurt, I really admire the way, I know it's a lot of work, but I really admire the way that Kurt has gotten this collaborative off the ground. It's like a collective of artists and contributors that come and go, and they all make barbarian sequences, so that he can compile them into this giant collection. He's got Crom collected, and he's already on number 2, and he's juggling a lot of different contributors. I know that's a lot of work to like keep everybody straight, and deadlines, and basically you're like sending out like broadcast emails to all these people to to say like, all right, we're putting it all together by this date, and have your submissions, otherwise you're going to have to be in the next one, not this one. And that is exactly what I wanted to do from day one with the sci-fi world thing that we're doing. And I think maybe there just happens to be more people interested in sword and sorcery, or maybe that's an easier starting off point, or maybe it's like there's more of a template, more of an existing template there, because you're just plugging into, okay, well, this is Crom, this is like Conan, this is like everything I like,
Well, it's a public domain character. Crom the Barbarian is like, it's not my character. It's right, the world, it's the world's character. So there's hundreds of people out there that are doing stuff and want to do stuff. So it's just easy for me to just tap into that pipeline. Turbo is a completely intimate character, which, people get, rightfully sensitive about, not wanting to offend or not wanting to do something wrong.
Right. Well, we're talking about the Turbo world. if somebody's listening to this and you want to Tanner Hurley, remember him?
Yeah.
And also Chance Priest, he did the same thing, and we had the artist on. So that's one way of doing it. What we're like more inclined to do is to do kind of like this cooperative partnership deal where you're making the art, and then we're publishing it in Do Magazine, but then you can also take that story and also do what you want with it. You could put it in your zine, or you could hold on to it until you make your coffee table book, or you can do anything that you want or care to do, because you have equal rights to it, for that particular sequence. And we develop the storyline together, and so that sometimes is advantageous to somebody who's just getting off the ground, because they're like, all right, well, I have a day job and I do this for fun, but this is something that's going to have value for me later on, because I have I have equal rights to the to the pages that were created. And so I think that's a cool and a fair way to do it. There's any kind of other arrangements that could be worked out, depending on somebody's like, oh no, I gotta have a page rate because I need the money, because I owe somebody like $80, and I gotta so there's also that, and in open marketplace, and there's plenty of people for art. There's a Reddit forum called Comic Book Collabs, and there's a Facebook forum called Connecting Comic Book Writers and Artists. And you can go there on a daily basis and see lots of artists putting their stuff up, lots of writers, and editors and everything putting up their solicitations. And I love that idea, because that's exactly what we need in this goddamn country. Is I mean, that's what social media should be for. People connecting people of like minds that are looking to collaborate, do projects, make business, or whatever. So yeah, so we are also out on there, and if you're watching this podcast, you can see the kind of stuff that we're doing. I'm always coming up with ideas, and I'm always coming and I do have like a little bit of OCD, so that's why we have this great time together. And I am going to be penciling turbo pages, don't worry, but I have to get some other stuff out of the way. We have our flagship character, and we work on that every Sunday for at least an hour or two. And then we have these other things, other irons in the fire, that we're just kind of reiterating. But one thing that I love to do is I call flooding the zone. And that's where you just keep on making characters, keep on making ideas. These are all titles that will never probably, most of them will never see the light of day. They probably just exist as an ad in the back of a comic, or as a pinup, that has that idea. But you never know, if you make this, somebody might come along and say, hey, I'd like to do a story. That character looks interesting. It's already made, it's already developed, it's already designed. So yeah, this is the kind of like printing out stuff that I'm doing. And my latest idea, Kurt, is and I am going to have a trigger warning for people that don't like AI, because I don't agree at this point in time in using AI to make comics that you publish. But sometimes I do use the image creator in AI just to see what something might look like. And what I did lately is I asked the question, every time I see these old army comics, I try to pick them up, especially if they're like 20 cents or 25 cents or whatever. This one's actually 15 cents. So this probably is the mid 60s. No, this is actually 1970. But I asked the question, hey, if you have an army comic like Sergeant Fury and his Howling Commandos, or maybe like Sergeant Rock Remember, Sergeant Rock was a big.
Oh, I was a big collector for a while. Not only that, but also the Unknown Soldier.
Right, the Unknown Soldier was like a
Love
little.
love the Unknown Soldier.
Right, there was yeah, because I think was that Joe Kubert that used to
Hell
do that?
yeah, brother! Hell
Yeah,
yeah!
right. Well, I mean, anything Joe Kubert does is good. So, so there's that. There was also Enemy Ace, which was kind of a war thing, but it was just like airborne battles and like I think it was a Nazi flyer, Enemy Ace, right?
Yeah.
And they had from his point of view, I don't know who said let's do it from the German point of view. So you have all this comics, but looking at specifically looking at Sergeant Fury and his Howling Commandos, right? That was a really, I think, important series because it was Jack Kirby, and they did it for a while, and I don't know how many years that ran for, but I would say how many decades that ran for, is probably the better question. Here you can see this goes back to 1963, for God's sakes. So Marvel, just as they were developing this big superhero thing that was about to blow up, they were doing Sergeant Fury comics, and here's some example right here. So what I did was I said, this could tie into something that I'm doing, even though my thing is going to be in the future. What about the idea of having this battalion, right? And then the big difference that I plugged into an AI image generator, and again, this is only for conceptual purposes. I would never use AI for publishing anything, but was to say, what happens if it was an all-female squadron? And I went on Google and I put that in. Nobody's ever done that. I asked ChatGPT and AI, has anybody ever done that? And
Jake, just real quick, just break you up just for a second. Now, are you talking that this female battalion would be, or a platoon would be, like a battalion's like 100 men. A platoon could be like a dozen men. But are you saying this would be set in World War II Europe or fighting? Okay. So you're expanding this. This will expand into like a sci-fi kind of
right.
thing.
I'm not planning a World War II era
okay.
comic,
Right.
But
I was kind of getting excited there for a second, wow, we're gonna go historical here. So
watch what happens here. But I have, if you look here on the bullet points, I have already a pre-existing idea, and there's a lot to this. I have a lot of notes and a lot of rough drafts. I have entire manuscripts actually that are done in very, very quick ballpoint layout form. But I must have a 20-page sequence that I did back in the 90s or 2000s whenever we were doing this. But it's this one right here. It is here, Shankar versus the Pleasure Bots, full-scale gender war. Now that's actually two different things, because Shankar is a character and the Pleasure Bots are the robots that were created to satisfy customers, if you get the Pleasure Bots. But the full-scale gender war part, so then it's like full-scale gender war. So this full-scale gender war needs to be moved to its own bullet point. And so, that is something that I have drawn some covers for before, called Turmoil on the Planet of the Pleasure Bots. And I have a couple of cool covers in my portfolio. I might pull that out this episode if I remember. But I just wanted to say this of the team-based approach, and so I took this cover. I found a nice cover. This is a John Severin cover, and it's great colors. The primary colors are great. The red and the yellow just pops out. So I put this in and I said, what would happen if you make this an all-female team? And so here is what this is basically AI slop, because I don't think this is usable for much, but they did
What
it.
did you use?
What's that?
What did you use to generate that?
Just ChatGPT.
Okay, cool.
And it does spit back a good example of characters in positions. The poses are decent, but if you look closely, this is where AI falls down, right? It's like they're making all of these faces like a perfect John Romita face, where John Romita was asked by
Well,
Stanley.
that's what Marvel wanted.
What's that?
That's what Marvel wanted.
Right.
They used to go over. That's what his job was. He used to go over Gil Kane and
right,
all those guys' faces.
Right, because they wanted it to be an attractive face. They didn't want it to be distracting, and they wanted it to be like the house style and everything. So, that's great, but it also loses something. Like when all of these faces are so perfectly proportioned and generic, it looks fake, and it looks AI, and it looks, like no actual.
But Jake, I mean, let's just take a moment. If that cover was at a comic book store, because okay, just drop the camera just a little, just drop your phone just down a little bit. Yeah, just like that. And I saw the title, Sergeant Payback and Her Merciless She-Wolves. And then my eyeball just saw.
Well, I made that. That's not.
I know. Let's copyright that, because I'm going to do something with that, and I'm going to pay you full price for it. But
well,
I'm telling you right now, though, I'm not bullshitting you, and I'm not trying to upstart nothing. But I'm telling you, I'd buy that comic book in a heartbeat, pending on who did the interiors. Like, so this is where I would jump off, and I would say, yeah, I would hire Ken Landgraf to do a 32-pager and keep that cover, because that's what Marvel would do, right? You'd get a top notch.
Marvel would do 20.
John Romita Jr. would do the cover in 1981 or whatever, and then they give the interior work to guys like Ken Landgraf, Sal Buscema,
Rich Buckler,
Trempy, or you know what I mean? Like, but you would still get the comic book. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like that's the whole point, right?
So, yes, and I forget what book I read this in, but 70%, 75% of the decision to buy a comic is based on the cover. That's the marketing.
Exactly.
That's the marketing.
We got Daryl. We got Daryl in the house. Just wanted you.
Hey, Daryl. Yeah. So this is a very cool concept, right? And and I didn't mean to derail the conversation by bringing AI into this. This didn't have anything to do with AI. I wanted to make a pinup cover, and I wanted to show all this, but the AI is just I want to just visualize what this would look like if I took this and just made it females, because you're just sitting on your couch and just it only takes 2 seconds, and I know we are sacrificing energy and water and everything, but what I did was
that's a fucking cool cover.
Well,
it's not only a cool cover, dude. I'm just not apologetic about that, but it has my head on fire. I'm writing the story right now. You know what I mean? I am overloaded.
Isn't it a cool concept?
Huh?
Yeah, it's a cool concept,
dude.
And I went on multiple. So I look up. I asked Google. Has there ever been all female war comic before? In the vein of Sergeant Rock or Sergeant Fury or everything. And they were like, no. They were like, there was this character called Marie Marionette or something, or maybe I forget, but there was this French, spy lady, and she got into hand-to-hand combat, but she was a solo act.
Yeah.
And then she ended up being a love interest for Sergeant Fury, and then I was like,
yeah, that's what Steranko. Steranko ended up doing his Nick Fury, and that like whole silence segment is a love scene between him and her.
Right, and it was well, I'll tell you right now, just so I don't blow this, but Marie War female comic. It was Marie something, and
Sergeant, yeah, and Nick Fury in his Howling Commandos, wasn't it?
yeah, it was called Mademoiselle Marie.
Yeah.
And here, oh, sorry, it was DC. So she was Sergeant Rock's
okay, sorry.
sometimes girlfriend. And here it is. This looks like Don Heck or something. You know, and I love this, you know,
sweet.
like
Yeah, sweet.
I love this. You know, here she is, right?
Damn.
And all of it.
But cool.
But she's not in uniform and she's not a team. So, you know, I asked ChatGPT, has anybody ever done this? No, that would be a unique idea. And I was like, well, and so I asked ChatGPT, I asked Gemini, of course I Googled it, you know, I never heard of anything myself. So why not? And then I asked a more general question. I said, has there ever been an all-female team of any comic book genre, you know, like superheroes or anything? And turns out there's been very few. You know, you have Birds of Prey, which is DC.
Yeah.
You have, and then Marvel did very briefly the A-Force, which was all female, but it wasn't really a big hit. Nobody really knows about it. And so, yeah, so that was my concept.
So Daryl has the Flying She-Devils are all a group of all-female sky pirates who prey on mercenary pirates and warlords in the South Pacific during the post-World War II era.
What is it called?
It's the Flying She-Devils.
Okay, that was a comic?
I don't know, but they appear occasionally. Oh, in Atomic Robo. He says they appear in Atomic Robo.
Oh, it's like a manga thing. Oh, interesting. Yeah.
Is it?
Well,
is that
let's
manga?
See. Yeah, it looks like manga, but I can't even find. Oh, so it is. Oh, thank you. This is kind of obscure.
Hotness.
But I don't see. I'm looking at all these covers, and I don't see the team.
Well, I don't know if Daryl, is it?
Here we go.
I don't think it's. Here you go. All right.
Here it is. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, you know, this is like manga or American manga, and it's like, you know, they're pilots, so they're not like, you know, they're not like grunts, like, you know, like Marines or Army or whatever. But thank you for that. Yeah. Like I'm looking for examples of like anything, and you know, and that's an example. So here's the next thing, Kurt. So I wasn't satisfied with this, and because of the faces, and I put in a prompt that said, you know, all these faces look like they're all the same face. It's all just idealized John Romita face, you know, and, you know, can you give them a little more character? And I said, as an example, can you take like, you know, just, you know, a team of, you know, of players on the WNBA and just use their faces, like take the current starting lineup for the Indiana Fever. You know, can you just like take a version of them, change it so that it's not, you know, recognizable, copyrightable, anything likeness, and then just use that to give everybody their own kind of individual, like, you know, character look, because, you know, because this is like too perfect. So, so it comes up with, no, they can't apparently. So here's the second iteration, and you know, they just changed the stuff around and they put a black chick in the back, but her face is idealized. And all they really did was just change like a couple of hairstyles around. And you might notice that
so they're all sisters. They're all sisters. They just all have different fathers.
I guess.
Or no, different mothers. So right, they all have the same father, but they each have a different. No, the two to the left are their sisters, like by ear.
They look identical, right?
Yeah, yeah. They could almost be like twins. And then, of course, you know, the father, you know, yeah. I like the second one maybe a little bit better.
Well, regardless, you know, it didn't change the faces. And then I was like, you know, this is a limitation of AI. And this is why AI sucks. It's like,
no, it's our responsibility to do the creativity. What you're doing is not creative. This is what I keep trying to put out there. Don't ever give yourself away as oh, I need you to create something for me, AI. Stop doing that. Do exactly what you did by sitting on the couch and start playing with ideas and start generating. I am a completely visual person. If I had the time, okay, I would put at least 3 to 6 months of effort into making that comic book, Jake.
Yeah, no, it's a fun idea, and it's got to be done by hand, obviously, because
absolutely.
But this is just one really frustrating thing, because I told the AI, don't, put some character into each person. They look soulless, right? I was like, change the facial proportions so that somebody has a flat nose and somebody's eyes are a little bit closer together and somebody has big ears and they just can't do it no matter how many times you ask. And so that's why it's kind of like useless. But here was a very weird thing that it generated, and I forget the exact prompt, but I was like, oh yeah, this, because I have the actual communication here, what I asked. If I go back, and I said, here, female comic titles. Like there was even this one when I said, I can tell you what I wrote. But first, let me go back to this army and nurse thing, because this was like the most bizarre
Get
thing.
center. You're off camera. You're off to the
yeah. Look, so my question was like, after I did this, I was like, wow, I might be onto something here. This is a cool idea. And I say, was there ever a female army comic? So that was a text-based question, right? But they come back with this, like they just generated this thing, and I saw it generating a picture, and I was like, why are they generating a picture? I just asked.
Because that was your original. That was your primer prompt.
Right. They were going back to this, and then
that's all it has, though. It's not intelligent. Stop using just stop thinking it's intelligent, dude.
Oh, what is this?
Dude,
what is this?
Army and nurse. That's
this?
Dude, I'll give you another 6 months on that one too.
What is this? what is this?
I don't know. We got to figure it out, though. We got to.
The mighty army invades the comic scene. Army and nurse. She serves her country wherever the army sends her. What?
That's awesome, dude.
Look, there's a nurse here tending to the wounded, and then she's got a machine gun and she's fighting.
She's taking it down. Dude, it's just awesome.
Yeah. So that one's basically useless. But let's go back to the exchange, because I said, like, so no one has ever thought of the idea of an all-female battalion in a comic before. I should have said platoon. Okay. So she goes, let me check. It's surprisingly rare. I said, what are examples? They were like, what are examples of all-female teams in comics, period? And they said Birds of Prey, DC Bombshells, and Marvel's A-Force, and Fearless Defenders, which I never heard of. So I looked up online. Fearless Defenders is only 2 characters. It's Misty Knight, if anybody knows from the Iron Fist Power Man series, and Valkyrie. And it's just those 2. And they put out like 12 issues, 12 editions, like in the 2000s. And so that's all Fearless Defenders were. It's not really a team. It's a duo. So the setup's not unique, but a pulpy 50s or 60s style war comic based on all-female commando unit is still pretty niche. Fearless Defenders debuted in 2013. It ran for 12 issues. So then I said, the faces look all too perfect with no personality. Can you change each face to correspond to the faces of the Indiana Fever? They were like, sorry, but that violates our content policies. And then I said, how can I modify my request in compliance? We're sorry, but the prompt may violate our content policies. They don't even tell you what they can do. So then I wrote, can you make the faces correspond to fictional characters based on loose, bluntly approximated descriptions of real people? That's very vague, and so that's when they gave me this one, which I showed you. And then I says, the perfection in the idealized proportions of the faces look too perfect and makes it soulless, like they are not real, relatable characters. Some actually look identical to each other. And so then this is the last one they came back with, and I didn't even download this, but maybe I should. So then they gave me this, and once again, all of the faces are perfectly proportioned model faces, but they did put like dirt all over everything.
Yeah. I
And
don't know, man. It still sells. I'm sorry. Whoa, she looks Asian.
Right. I was gonna say. So what they did was they
did it. It did it. What's that other one look like? Who does that last gal look like? She looks almost like she's 13 years old, dude.
I know.
Dude, I'm telling you, man, you're fucking up the Turbo Pit Fighter thing. I'm gonna work on this comic book. I quit. I gotta go. I gotta go, Jake. I gotta go. See you, bye. See, I gotta go. I gotta get to work.
Isn't this a cool idea? But
I love it, Jake.
But when I do this, I'm going to look at my favorite WNBA team, like because I love the Warriors, right? I always wanted to do like the Warriors, right? And because
the movie,
yes, all of those characters had such personality. They were a gang, they were a team, but each one had their own look. Like the guy with the afro, and then the guy with the do-rag, and and whatever. So, and you might also notice that the more you ask for revisions on AI, the more they put this like schmutz all over it. It's like dirt and like, I don't know why, but they just keep putting like this fine grain over it every time it gets more and more muddy. And so like this is where I stopped, but this is really cliche. Like some of this doesn't even make sense anatomically. Like look at her hand. Look at her hand here. This arm. See this? It doesn't work. It's like a midget hand. But
dude, I'm just loving it. I'm sorry. You gotta send these to me. I'm gonna do something.
Yeah.
Right now. Forward to them.
It's not the AI version, though. You want it's the concept that you want.
I do, but I need the visuals. I'm a visual-based person, man.
All right, I will send these to you. Oh God.
Even the army and nurse.
You even want that? That's the most ridiculous thing I've ever saw.
Dude, I'm 35 seconds away from quitting this stupid turbo project. And I'm gonna devote my life to
you're just getting a surge of endorphins. But
okay, so recently I watched the B movie Doll Squad. And it's got Turo Santana in it. It's like 1965-ish, 67 in there. Now, it is super low budget. Like, it's a C movie. It's like B movie would be like, it would be like almost close to like Don Dollard, kind of like, but like a little bit more budget than like shooting something in your backyard, kind of like in the woods and everything like Don Dollard did. But there's another all series all female squad movie I have too.
You're bringing up something great. Because there have been all female battalions or all female
movie wise,
in the B movies. That's been the all female biker gang, all female. Now you might not you might not like the movie.
God damn it.
You might not like the movie when you see it, but the poster is amazing, for these things.
Oh yeah. It's worth it. It's worth like having some comics slaying around or a couple glasses of wine.
So the Doll Squad was 1973.
73. Oh shit! Sorry about that.
Yeah, and nobody is no star was big enough to get her name like highlighted.
Who was the lead in that?
But let's see, I can't make it out. I need a higher res thing. Maybe if I click on this and visit it, it'll give me a high res. Let's see. Features Francine York, Michael Ansara, Carter, Anthony Isley, Leigh Christian, and Turo Santana. Yeah. And of course, Turo Santana is the famous I don't want to say stocky, but like a little ample, like muscle wise, in Faster Pussycat Kill.
Yep.
Yeah, and so she had like a whole career, doing B movies and stuff. So yeah, I got to put this one on my list. Um, so yeah, this is kind of like what I was thinking. And then I pulled out these army comics to say, like, this, like, this shortcut. I call it cheating. It is a form of plagiarism, but when you take an old comic and you say, well, I'm just gonna substitute my characters and this, so I don't have to think. I'll be like, okay, boom, I'll open on a tank, and then I'll have some dialogue here. And like, some people actually do this. They use an old comic as a starting point for their breakdowns, and then they just say, all right, well, this, I'm going to show my 3 battle vixens here, and then they're going to be talking about other stuff, but you just use this as as a shortcut to plug in, because you're like, hey, well, these comics did pretty well, let me do this because it's successful. And what I usually do is I usually take something like this, and I usually, like, maybe take a page or 2 out of it, and I just, like, take some cues. I don't actually, like, go through and, like, substitute that closely, but it is a starting point. So I wanted to pull some war comics, and this one, Captain Savage and his Battlefield Raiders, was very disappointing, because I open it up and it's all Navy. Like, Battlefield Raiders doesn't sound like Navy, but here we are in the Navy. And then you open this up, and look at this. It's like, first they're starting with a party, so I guess they haven't shipped off yet. And then you got this guy pining away with this picture, right? And he's literally crying, right? Like, and I'm like, what did I stumble into? Some kind of romance comic with a bearded bozo? And then so now they're finally getting on the ship, but it's still a lot of talking. Look how much text there is on this page. It's a lot of text. And then if you thought that was bad, turn the page and look at this.
Holy Matt, dude! What the hell?
I know.
Who's gonna read all that?
Written by Gary Fredericks. Bad job, Gary. And
yeah.
This is penciled
go
by
back to the men's magazines. I bet you Gary wrote for the men's magazines.
Well, you know what these guys do? They probably read, like, all these books and everything about war, and then they get really, like, they have all this research, and they want to, like,
or they actually served, or Gary
Gary
could have served.
Could have been.
Thank you for your service, sir.
So, and then here, this page, they're in the like basic training, or they're in training or something, and then here they're just talking, and I'm like, oh, so this is a lemon. And then talking here, you're finally getting to something on the scope. I don't know if this is land. Looks like bombed out land. Here we're just talking, inundated by word balloons. I mean, this must be great dialogue, because you're really sacrificing. I'm buying a war comic here. I want to see some goddamn combat. Submarine here on the bottom of the floor, talking, and then finally the ship comes by, drops these canisters. They're exploding all around. So here's some action. This is like finally a page of some action. Then what do we get? Talking. Lots and lots of words. Talking. They're shooting back a missile. It's like, hello, talking. What the hell? Like, this is. So I couldn't use this. But then you get to this sequence. This is like the climax, and they're in the periscope, and the ship is getting closer, and they fire a torpedo, and then they blow up the ship and they take it down. So I guess this is like the money shot. And then so, that was like some kind of like I guess a German destroyer or something. So now you got Mr. Sad Guy. He's reflective, and then the end here. This is kind of nice, but yeah, not every army comic that you pick up is going to be cool. And so I got to get some of those old Sergeant Rocks, because Sergeant Fury, because they had personality. You had the guy Dum Dum and Bo, and
once again, Jack Kirby served in the war.
Exactly, and so he had real stories and real experiences. This is Charlton. And, this looks like a very high cover price to me, 60 cents in 1984. So Charlton was still cranking out comics. And I don't know if these are new or if these are reprints. It doesn't say. But These are like all. This is a compilation. So this is a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pager, and then you get start all over, and now it's 1, 2, 3, 4, like a 3 pager. Like wow, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, another 5 pager. Then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Oh boy, here we go. 8, 9. So they saved 10. They saved the long one for a 10 pager. So interesting, this is like little bite-sized stories, and the in and out. It looks like all the same artist, and they have this interesting letterer too. I don't know. Their letterer is really like methodical. It almost looks like it's like one of those stencils, but I don't think it is. It's not. Anyway, I was looking like, all right, this is a cool idea. I want to do a pinup, and I want to like put this in the back of one of our comics, and but I am going to change it. It's not going to be the World War II or World War I or anything like that, or Vietnam or nothing. It's going to be the future, and it's going to be the all-out gender war. And I have some stuff done on this. I have some pages done. And it's going to be in the future, but it's also going to be like real hand to hand, real like battles, and that's going to be the idea. So
I got an announcement. I just want everybody to know, for the last hour, I have not been pissing away the morning. I have been very productive, because I now officially have on kurtbrugel.com. I'll put a link in the comment, of course, put it in the description after this episode, where you can go and buy not only a copy of Turbo Pit Fighter, but Doom Mag's #1. So these are, just so everybody's clear, this copy is my printed version, which is no different on the inside. Other than I printed, these will drop ship as Lulu. I still am waiting on my Kablam. 50 copies I have ordered. These are for my.
Look at that color of that blue.
Oh yeah, it's way better than yours. But
look at that blue. How blue that is. Mine is like.
But dude, that's the problem. Is like that I got a blue interior too for my black plate. That's my problem. Is that it's shot too blue. But yeah, I mean, it really heightens. I mean, the covers are extremely different. Not different. Yeah, I mean, like, this is matte, by the way. I like matte, so you're going to get a matte cover from Lulu.
I'm going
to have 50 comics.
I'm never doing the coated. Never. I don't believe in it.
Okay, but look, and I can do a version of yours, Jake. I can, if you want. I can then just flip the cover and make another, and then sell it, via Lulu if somebody wanted to.
Oh yeah, give people a choice. Yeah. You could do that.
Yeah. So, but I'll have 50 comics for upcoming SPX September 12th, and IC3 12th and 13th, and then IC3 is 26th. So I also have that. I'm really excited because in transit, I'll take a picture when it gets here, but I have a new banner. It's like a 7-foot banner that I got coming.
Very tangerine.
I know, I love the color. Next to lime green. These are my two favorite colors. Anyway, so yeah. I got some great stuff coming. And actually, Travis, one of our friends of Turbo, he's sending me some of his books. So once I get them, I'm going to be showing them off, and I'm going to be taking a couple copies with me to SPX and IC3. So. And I reached out to Alex Turbin. He's sending me some copies of Morgrim and Weird Tales Detectives. Oh, and then I'm having him print 5 copies, magazine size on newsprint. Just to have, we had always said I wanted to get this printed as well from Alex, so I got that in the order too.
Oh, that's interesting.
So yeah, I'm gonna have a lot of really good stuff. Other than my I'll be doing like a show off probably in 2 Sundays. I'm gonna do like a show off all the books and everything. I'm calling them Destination. Hey, Destination SPX, Destination IC3. So I'm hoping everybody listening to me can make it to either one of those shows. So, but we know it's tough. It's tough to make, especially if you're coming from the West Coast. So.
Yeah, Alex reached out to me by text, and I am going to be, before summer ends, I am going to be on his podcast. I think we are doing 2:30 p.m. on Wednesday, August 26th. That'll be fun. And do you know if he shoots live or if he goes to tape? Because
I think he can do either.
Okay, well,
both are the same because he never edits, so it's not like he needs to.
Right. Okay. So yeah, people look out for that. It'll be me and Alex shooting the breeze, and we actually have a lot to talk about because if we're going to talk about the timing of the Duke. If he wants to finish that in the next go around, or if he wants to let that marinate for a while, and then all of the stuff that we're doing with his printing. I love hearing all about the printing, home printing stuff. And he also, I think this was a while ago, but he wanted to talk about technology. I think he might have been listening to some of the discussions you and I have about drones and robots and AI and stuff, and I think he wanted to talk about it. But then at another point, he said he wanted to talk about music and comics. So there's a lot of different possibilities we can do. The great Alex Turbin. Everybody should check out in Do Magazine #1, the 11-pager he did, The Secret Chronicles of the Duke, and that was a cool collab. What else? So I want to show you this. I guess this is as good as time as any to go over it. I've watched. Oh, Kurt, do you ever go back by last night I was on YouTube and I was like, what am I gonna watch? Because I finished watching all my basketball and I didn't, I was all caught up and I was like, oh God, what do I watch? There's not enough time to watch a B movie, and I don't feel like watching like an episode of Daredevil or anything. So I said, you know what? Let me see how YouTube is doing, like indexing some of the characters on our timeline and see if they have a hit if I search up something.
Oh.
So I put in Elevena. And because this is just one of our characters, and we haven't really done anything with her yet, and her own series or anything. So I put in Elevena, and it came up with an episode. If you remember when we were doing the End of the World Index, and we were going over the little squares or the little rectangles, and there was one that said Elevena 2222, and YouTube caught that from the graphic. Because they read the text in the graphic because you had it as the card, Elevena 2222. So I watched that whole episode, and it was over a year ago, and we were like just doing like, I think we were just working on the cover for you were just finishing this, and I was just it was a while back. And we go over the whole. It's a great episode, actually, for me to listen back to, because we go over the whole like life cycle of Elvena, because it was her turn on the timeline. We had already done Turbo, we had already done the Sentients, and we already did the Quantum Druids, and we already did the Casualties. So then it was time to do Elvena because she was one of the last ones. So Elevena 2222, I explained the whole concept, and you're just there drawing and talking, and then I asked at the end, okay, Kurt, I want you to ask me some questions now. Like
I remember that episode. I was like, what?
Yeah. Like what seems like it needs more explanation, or what was unclear, because I was really like jumping around. I'm like, well, she's conceived, and then this, and then that, and then I just kept going. So the discussion was that hey, we got to make a 6-pager of Elevena 2222.
Whoa.
And and I said, well, all right, well then what part of this whole like life cycle, because I go from her birth all the way to when she's like in her like late 40s, early 50s, in the prison, and she's visited by young Turbo. And then, you had a very quick answer. I was like, what part of the life cycle should we show in a 6-pager? And then you're like, definitely her death. And, I realized that actually her death is going to be in the pages of Turbo Pit Fighter. That'll be like that'll be issue number like 4 or something. But when they're in the prison and when they're flashing back, and basically, I don't know if I thought of it right there when we were taping the episode, or if I had this in mind, but she's going to go down with the whole prison's going to blow up, and Elevena is going to die in a glorious death then. So spoiler alert. But the prison will also be part of the dome complex, so that the prison is right next to the sentient dome and the server dome, and then there's a prison dome. And so I pulled out all this a pad, and I started making some notes, because I was watching the episode and I was hearing like all the stuff I was saying, and I was just like kind of like adding to it here. So what I did last night was I just thumbnailed out something here, which I'm calling the death of Elevena, but it's really the entire life of Elevena. And we have 6 pages, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And some people might call this a beat sheet, where you just like make a square. This is going to be page 1, and then we just put a couple of beats that are going to be, the important.
Give me a beat.
Right. So page 1 of 6, it's like, it's going to be called the death of Elevena or something. But Elevena is born. We go over how she's created in a lab. She's a test tube baby. She was the 11th try. She was meant to be like, the perfect specimen of high intelligence. But her mother, Esoterra, also makes her wear this suit, that limits her movements because it's actually training her muscles. I spoke in the episode about, I think this is going to happen in real life, that they're going to create these suits that people get into, like an astronaut suit or something, or maybe more like an exoskeleton, and it's going to be a resistance suit. So you're basically like working out and by wearing the suit, but like it's like training your muscles. It's giving you like resistance, So she's born. She has to wear the suit. Eventually, she has a falling out with Esoterra, even though she's still pretty young. I talk here about the death of Chromita when Esoterra loses her sidekick robot. That's going to be bad. Page 2, it's Elevena is older, but not that old. She's still like only between like 10 and 15 years old. She becomes a scientist. She creates Elevision, the goggles that allow you to see the quantum world. She's working with Dardwick University. They get hacked by Dr. Marauder. She goes into testing and trials of enhancement, going from plants to animals, and then finally to humans, which brings us to page 3. Elevena will be about 15 years old now. And so maybe we're doing like 0 to 5, like as far as the age range here, 5 to 10, and then 15 years old here. But when she's 15 years old, so page 3 will just be her enhancing humans, and she only enhances a couple of humans. She doesn't do it that much. A couple of humans she had to enhance in order to bribe the Tuesday cults all to join and unite, as one big resistance faction. And so she did agree to enhance some of those leaders in order to get them to agree to do that. But basically, she's going to create the Rectifiers, which is a super squadron of females that'll all be enhanced one at a time, starting with Charvel, going to Window, Pitch Blend, Quadra, and Chevron. And and then there's also going to be the cults. So page 4 is when she is older now. So let's say this is like ages 20 to 24. And this is where she really gets into the intense battles with the unbeknownst one. And are you ready? Kurt, are you sitting down? Because I have a huge spoiler.
Oh, shit. All right. Let me sit down. Okay.
And I don't know. I don't know when we're going to reveal this, but the unbeknownst one will be the son of de Montague de Huberton and Shankar Vaish. Bum, bum, bum. The worst guy in the world goes rogue, and she is actually Shankar's son, and that's to her eternal shame. So we'll go back and forth. Now I spoke about like it's going to get really like spicy because her fights with the unbeknownst one when he's younger and she's younger is going to go back and forth. She wins some, he wins some, but there will be this there will be this like real bitter fight. And she actually, well, I don't know how to describe this because I don't want to get flagged, but there is an SA involved when he finally defeats her and he needs to show his domination, so he will SA her, but she booby trapped her body and she
is that a pun?
No, it's not the boob. It's not.
It's not. So in the SA, while he's at the booby.
No, it's not her boobies. So she trapped. She set a technological trap so that when he SAs her, he then becomes depenized. Okay, I don't know if I'm saying that.
All right.
Yeah. And that
someone might have to use ChatGPT to translate this episode.
And so that obviously pisses him off, and because he lost his unit, and he's he thought he had her defeated, but she had a contraption in there that took away his manhood, like sliced it, and so he's really mad and really mad. And because of that, and the combination of that and the release of the P tapes, and that's spelled PEA, not PEE, that's when he does the Megapocalypse. And he's so mad personally at Elevena for doing what she did in her own defense while she was being assaulted, that he lost his member, and he unleashed the Megapocalypse. And the Megapocalypse is as bad as it sounds. It is depopulating all the big cities all at once using drones that spread radioactive poison gas. So bad news there. And then we get to page 5, and so Elevena, so let's say she's like if she's in her early 20s here, so she'll be like around 24 here. After the Megapocalypse, the Hubertons are threatening to finish the job and kill all the other people in the remaining survivor zones. Like they killed the majority of people in the on the continent of the American.
Well, isn't this where Turbo starts?
Right, the depopulation.
Well, that's with her family, her mother and father and sister.
Right, but we got to talk about the timing, because is Turbo in one of the remaining surviving zones, or is that before the Megapocalypse? So the Megapocalypse was sometime around 2222. So I don't think that Turbo is. I think that's before Turbo. So I think like when they're depopulating, they're actually going door to door. The reason why they're going door to door because they're looking for glowers. Right. And they have a report in Turbo's house that there's a glower there. And obviously it was Turbo, but they didn't know that. But anyway, at some point after the Megapocalypse, there is a threat, and they've shown that they can depopulate all these areas. So they're threatening to do it again if Elevena doesn't surrender. And so Elevena negotiates a surrender, and she agrees to imprisonment in order to spare all the remaining resistance zones of getting, killed, mass killed. So we talk about the prison. She goes into the prison complex, and along with all of her. Whoa, what'd you get there?
I freshened up. I was down to my last one of each of my 0.5s and my 0.3s of my Pilot High Tech C threes and my 5s.
Let me see let me see up close. No, the one of the little handle where it says the name of it on the pen.
No, it's in Japanese.
Are you sure? No, it always says High Tech C.
Nope. Yeah. You're talking about that part.
Yeah, right there. What does it say? I'll bring it up. Up. It says, I can't read it. Oh, it is in Japanese.
Yeah. What do you think?
But it doesn't have the G. It's not High Tech G, right?
It's C.
C. So did you get those domestically?
Yeah, Amazon.
Oh, nice. Okay. Great.
Yeah, these were like, I think $9 each for 5. Free shipping if you have Amazon Prime. I know how everybody loves Amazon.
Oh yeah, well since you brought that up,
shit.
Yeah, just real quick.
I bet.
Well, everybody probably got this in their email, but Amazon.com sent out an important update to the terms and conditions, and effective August 14th, which was days ago. So basically, as they're sending this to people, you had already agreed to it without knowing it, but they updated their terms and conditions, and it says that from now on, if there's any dispute, it's going to be resolved through their arbitration, and you agree to, by using their product or their website, you agree to the conditions that include mandatory pre-arbitration dispute resolution procedure and an arbitration agreement and a class action waiver. This means that most legal disputes between you and us will be resolved through individual arbitration, a fast and efficient way to resolve concerns directly with us rather than in court by a judge or jury. You may still go to small claims court, and if you choose to arbitrate, we will pay most of the cost. So to me, this is pretty onerous, and and basically it says you're by using our Amazon website, you are agreeing to waive your rights to be part of any class action lawsuits. How about that in your email box? But that's par for the course of Amazon. Is one of these mega conglomerates that we're dealing with. We talk about it all the time. So yeah, just to finish up the last page here, this will be when in the prison she meets Turbo. Turbo delivers her the package. The package will not only be like a little prototype gun, but it'll also have a bunch of radioactive peas inside that are smuggled in. The reason why she gives it to Elevena is because Elevena has the wherewithal to duplicate it and get the prototype into production, so it gets into the hands of more than a few people. The gun has something called a snap ray, which can really do a lot of damage. And they know that they have a very short window because everything they're doing in the prison is being, closely monitored. So they launch a revolt, a jailbreak, and Elevena will die in the course of the jailbreak, and 5,000 will escape. And and it is her sacrifice that enables that, just like what happened with Sister Ray in the orphanage. And yes, and so that'll be the death of Elevena. And when the weapon gets into the hands of the resistance, that basically turns the tide in some of in the resistance zones, so that the RM is no longer an occupying force, and the RM is dissipated, so that everything, when Turbo's an adult and when she's in her 20s, everything's just wasteland. So, and you could weigh whether there's pros and cons of the militarized force, the RM, being gone, because then it just becomes, there's no laws, there's no, I mean, they were bad, they were, bad at,
A necessary bad,
well,
a necessary evil.
it's an open-ended question, like if you're in a school and you say, was it good that the United States killed Saddam Hussein? There you have to make arguments on both columns. Yes, it was good because of this, and no, it was bad because of that. So it's one of those deals. But that's just a 6-pager that I just kind of like planned out with the beat sheet, whatever you want to call it, so that I can maybe work it up. It's for now, it's just going to be rough notes, but if it'd be really exciting to have an Elevena 2222 6-pager in an upcoming episode of Doom magazine. So if I ever want to plunk down and do that, then I don't have to think. All I have to do is start drawing.
Right.
Yep. Drawing and writing dialogue. So back to Turbo Pit Fighter. I'm working on page 27 here. I have my blue line notes here. I have the whole thing mapped out with all the dialogue, and now I just have to put it all in place. I'm doing blue line pencil first, then I'm going to do black pencil after, and see if I can finish this page in not during today while we're on the air, but by the end of today, so that next Sunday I could be working on page 28. That would be great. And I'll go over what happens on this page, but let me take a breath for a second. Have a drink of tea here.
Have a cup of tea. I'll join you. What's your choice of tea right now?
Chamomile, of course.
Chamomile, man. I'm Irish black.
Yeah, I can't have caffeine.
Oh man.
So I saw a couple movies since we last spoke. I saw one in the movies yesterday. And I saw another one on the screen, which I hadn't seen. I'm trying to remember what it was. It wasn't really comic book related. It was the Bruce Springsteen movie. I think it was called Deliver Me from Nowhere. And it was featuring that actor who's like the hottest guy in Hollywood now. He was in The Bear. He's that guy in that Chicago restaurant series called The Bear.
Never saw it. Don't know who you're talking about.
Okay, well, he's the latest heartthrob guy, and he played Bruce Springsteen in this biopic. But I don't recommend the movie. And I usually love music movies, rock and roll movies, or whatever. It wasn't very high budget, and it wasn't, and it was about a very, very specific time in Bruce Springsteen's life. I've never been a huge super fan of Bruce Springsteen, but I've always been kind of adjacent, because he's in Jersey, and Little Steven was his guitar player, and I subscribe to Little Steven's Sirius XM channel for my music. I generally like Little Steven's taste in music. So I checked it out, and I don't recommend it. They focus on a very specific time in his life, and I don't think it's like the most interesting time. He was battling depression, and he wrote an album called Nebraska. Just when the label was expecting him to follow up his blockbuster Born to Run tour, he comes out with this like folk music, very dark album. And, they were trying to say like he needed to do it to exercise his demons. And, it was critically acclaimed, and it still sold a couple copies. But, later on, you know, he would come out with Born in the USA, and he would become this gigantic megastar on the order of Madonna and Michael Jackson. But anyway, I saw that. I could save you the trouble if people are, you know, it's not the greatest movie. But
Hold
when
up, hold up, hold up. Question for you:
Yeah.
best musician, anything to do with music biopic. Best number one.
but it can't
Desert.
be,
You're a
but it
desert.
can't
You're
be,
on a desert island.
but it can't be a documentary, and it can't
No, it
be
has
a
to be a
concert,
biopic.
and it can't
Has
be
to
a concert.
be a biopic.
Well, well, I mean, all my students would probably answer, you know, the Freddie Mercury, the Freddie Mercury one. What's up?
Yours.
I know. I'm getting up to that. I'm leading up to that.
Oh my God.
Because when these biopics are very, very calculated, you know, when an artist realizes that they're a part of a certain generation, and they know that that generation is going to age out, and that their fame and their fortune is going to be gone, they have to make a movie, you know, like the Bob Dylan movie No Way Home. It was a great example of that. And I did like the Bob Dylan movie No Way Home, but it's not going to be my desert island number one. You know, and these movies like really stay with you for a couple of days because the music is in your head, and you know, it's part of the American story, and it's part of history. You know, you go through the Vietnam era, and you go through all this stuff. So you know, that is the thinking. You know, these big record labels own this catalog, and they've been selling records, you know, pretty consistently for decades. They don't want that to end just because the next generation of teeny boppers only knows, you know, Olivia Rodrigo and doesn't know who Bob Dylan is or Paul McCartney is. So they have to make a movie and a movie and a movie and just keep, you know, refreshing the story and keep refreshing the music in the minds of the buying audience, right? And you know, and you've seen that with Kiss, right? They had a movie called.
Can you answer the question, please? What's the title? What is it? What's it called?
So the answer to the question, I mean, you know, so some of the choices are the Bob Dylan, the Freddie Mercury,
you
know,
the John. Give us one. Just give us one.
You know, the Elvis one came out just in the last, like, I think 4 years, and that was really big with my daughters and everything.
Tom Hanks is the Colonel.
Yeah, he was really good in that. And so but my answer is hold on, I gotta find the title of it.
Oh, wait a second.
Because it's a
shit.
It's a
Travis's is good.
What?
No, Travis just put up 24-hour party people. He just threw his age. He just threw his age up. Unless he's a youngin that is just trying to go back to the ecstasy rave scene. But go ahead. Really awesome movie. Yes, really awesome movie. Not my choice though. Go for it.
That's good. Do you want to put yours in before I do?
No, I want to hear yours first. Come on. Why are you taking so long?
Because I don't know the title of it.
You what?
I don't know the title of it. I'm finding the title of it. So here, 23. It was about out the woodblock.
Hold on a second. I'm getting a little glitch in your audio. I can't hear you right now.
Okay.
Shit, man.
Oh, I think it was, yeah. There, I got it. Are you ready?
Hold on. Do me a favor and take your phone away. I'm gonna see if it's because you're freezing on me. So whatever you're gonna say, I'm not gonna be able to hear it. Hold on.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you, but you're all bloody. All right, hold on. All right, go ahead. Tell us.
So it's called Taking Woodstock. Right. So this was a huge departure, but it's based on a memoir, Taking Woodstock, a true story of a riot, a concert, and a life. And it talks about how the whole thing came about, and from the perspective of one of the organizers. And just a great movie and really good message and a really good thing. And it doesn't even really center the music. There are very few like performances, but it was the story of the Woodstock Festival. And if people don't know, if people like younger and don't know like what happened there, it's an incredible thing that can never ever happen again. But they had everybody knows the name Woodstock, but in 1969 they had this festival that was only supposed to have, like I don't know, like 100,000 people there, and they sold tickets, but when all these hippies started showing up, they broke down the gates, and like it was more like 1 million people there, and they were not ready for this, and the town was not ready, and the logistics and the police and the
water,
and all that.
It was pretty bad,
yeah. So that is a great movie that I highly recommend, and that would be my desert island music movie. But I don't know if that's satisfying for you, because it doesn't really spotlight up one particular band or performer. I thought the Runaways movie was awful. Although it was good to kind of like reinvent or reintroduce the music, to another generation. And the story of Joan Jett and Lita Ford and those guys. But are you going to try to avoid this question for yourself now?
No, I'm just waiting for my time.
Okay.
The Doors.
Oh, that was Oliver Stone.
Come on now. I won't touch me, baby. Dude, I still watch that movie. I must have seen this thing at least a dozen or more times. I'm just captivated. First off, Oliver Stone is, I believe, an unsung hero in cinematography for especially American films. So, like, I remember when Platoon came out, that completely like blew me away. It was like the first real movie that I was of an age. What is it? What's that? 89 or something like that.
When Platoon came out, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I'm in college, and so I'm trying to expand my consciousness and all that
86.
kind of stuff. What was it? 86?
Yeah.
Oh God, I wasn't even college. I was in high school. Boy, I was peaking early. But his way. There's another movie of his with that. I think it's really hard to find. I think there was actually a problem with it, distribution, or Sean Penn didn't. I don't know. Somebody didn't like something, and I think it got pulled from distribution, but you can find a copy of it. Is U-Turn with Sean Penn and
I saw that. Yeah. And Jennifer Lopez.
Yeah, and like
the color on that was great.
No, his light. I would equate him as equal to a similar maker. Movies not, but the consciousness that David Lynch holds. That David Lynch and Oliver Stone see a movie as a fully formed piece of art. In other words, everything is of equal value, right? So obviously you got a script. You got to write a script, right? You have the actors. You've got the cinematographer. You've got location. You've got the audio, the soundtrack, the whole thing. When you have the experience of sitting in a movie theater, which I don't believe I saw it in a movie theater. I can't remember if I did or not. Maybe it was the impact of that. But The Doors, I think, as once again, my favorite story stems out of I'm a big Odyssey and all that, and but Hamlet is like my go-to. Like there was something that like triggered in me, and this is gonna sound super corny, but when Mel Gibson did his version of Hamlet, it really fucked me up, because I was like, why is Mad Max playing Hamlet? But it also helped me realize, at my core, I love existentialism. So I love anything that is dealing with the me, right? Like the existential is like, oh no, me, I'm going to die. I'm insignificant. I'm. So you have existential crisis, these types of things. But I never really took, okay, so my musical taste really launches in like 13, 14 years old from a friend of mine who was just buying new wave albums. And the albums I was getting was Fine Young Cannibals, Simply Red, The Church, Smiths, The Cure. I mean, I get new Joy Division, New Order. I was getting all of that on vinyl. So I was being like, submerged in that. Now I lived literally like blocks away from our local radio station. So if you ever tried to play the radio, it would dominate just what was playing, on radio. But I did do a big toe dip into psychedelic music, like who was the one? Moody Blues. I always love Nights in White Satin, like obviously Pink Floyd, all those like epic albums. But I would pan the Doors. I was just like, yeah, bum, 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 then like that. When I think it's also used. I'm actually confusing myself, but I'm pretty sure it's used. The song's used in both, obviously, Platoon and the Doors movie. But his song,
Are you thinking of Apocalypse Now?
Wasn't it used in Apocalypse Now? Am I confused? In that, yeah. So that was what had made that connection. Yeah, but you're like, holy shit! Like, who's singing this? Then you're like, wait a second, this is the Doors. But then when you watch this individual's journey as an existential poet, because he was not a very good musician, let's say, you know what I mean? Like, he was never in the, like Raymond Zarek was, and Bobby, and they really handled 110% of the music, and he was just all about his poetry, right?
No, he had good timing.
But I don't believe he was 100% ever fully formed as a musician. He was literally, and this is the way the movie basically sold me on him, which was he's a bard, a minstrel, a poet. You know what I mean? And he was there.
I'm gonna push back. There's
okay.
When you're singing and you're doing all that, there is timing, and he had and phrasing. They call it phrasing, and he was very instrumental in writing those. And not too many people in the music industry will have a number one hit, and so that's. You got to give it up, for.
But wasn't that written by the guitarist? The Light My Fire? That wasn't written by him.
But the guitars didn't work out all the vocal arrangements. That's all developed.
I don't know. It just never came across that way to me. Like it. I always had the feeling, like my idea of him is he would show up and air quotes sing. Like he would present himself.
They had a an engagement at the Whiskey, and they were a live act that really refined their craft in front of audiences in LA, and they were playing alongside Love, and they were playing alongside some other bands that became notable.
But he sang with his back to the crowd for like night after night, and then they were threatened to be kicked out of They were going to lose their job.
Well, he was very very high and stoned, and he was very alcoholic, and he was, just whatever his whims were at the day. And there's a lot of like contradicting versions of everything, but there's no denying the music that survives today. And the music that survives today is a very, 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 very important example of American band that was topping the charts during the British invasion and all throughout. There was only like the Doors and the Beach Boys and then the Four Seasons, and all the American bands were, and the Byrds, right? But they were all taking a back seat, to what was going on, because the Beatles and the Stones were just like crushing everything, So it is, and the way the Doors were different from every other band, because if you ever watched them live, there was no bass player, that was all just added on to the records in the studio, like kind of like an afterthought or a last minute decision, So they're a very unique band, and he was a poet, before he became a singer. And a lot of poets get dragged into bands that way, like Patti Smith is another example. You just end up applying it to music, and next thing you know, you're rock and roll, and then he also was very good looking and charismatic. And I think the whole point of the Oliver Stone movie, like if there was a point, I mean, it was going over like the rise and fall of the Doors, but if there was a point to his movie, it was that he had it, like if you saw him live, that he had a hypnotic effect on the audience, and it was kind of like a shamanistic experience. Yeah. Right. And but then if you read Danny Field's biography, like Danny Field was he was young when he was assigned to babysit Jim Morrison by the label Elektra, but a couple years later, he was the A&R guy for Elektra, and he signed the Stooges and the MC5, and the Ramones.
Punk, baby, punk, American punk, everybody.
Right, and he became the Ramones manager, and he was very instrumental in the career of the Ramones. But Danny Fields has these stories where, Elektra was a very small label, and the Doors really put them on the map. Elektra was, they were on a folk label, and they had some little hits here and there, and a lot of labels, when the Doors popped, it was more like 65 and 66, I think, is when when Light My Fire went #1, and they got signed by the this fickle label owner, Jack Holzman, I think his name was, but he hated the Doors. Oh, Jack Holzman was the second in on the label, the second in command. He was like the engineer and everything. And I forget the name of the guy that owned the label, but he hated them. But they ended up just by chance playing a cover of an old 1920s Tin Pan Alley song that he loved, called the Alabama Song. And it was just like, fortune that the Doors happened to do a weird cover of it. Show me the way
to the next whiskey bar.
Right. So it was because of that where he agreed. What was his name? Jack? Yeah, Jack something with owned the label. He said, "All right, I'll let you sign them." And they got signed, and the rest is history. But and then Elektra became a pop label, because the first 3 albums of the Doors sold millions, and they're still selling to this day under that same contract. So it was a little bit of luck, a little bit of chance, a little bit of fate. He didn't want to sign them, but they played that song, and that convinced him. They took a shot. Then they had a #1. It was a long tune, and so they in the recording studio, they said, "No, we can't put this thing out 6 minutes. It'll never get any airplay. That's not the format."
Yeah.
So they said, all right, well, we have to make a 3-minute version of it. And so they get back in the, so they run, the master tape, and they're running it into, another version, like another recording of it, a copy of it. And I think the way the story goes is, they were playing like an acetate of it, or they're playing a record of it into the master thing, and and they just like picked up the needle and dropped it, right where they come out of the solo, and
Oh yeah.
and so they cut out that whole keyboard part in the middle, right? And then they just had to like do like one edit to like take out the blank spot. But it was literally like just like skipping the needle from here to there, and then boom, Bob's your uncle. So there's that single, that you have. I think I have a copy of it, where it's just like it just gets right to the ending. But yeah, that was that was magic, and one of the greatest songs, one of the greatest bands, and then Jim dies right in the middle of
Mysteriously in Paris.
It's not that mysterious, dude.
No, it's not. No, it's not.
Took a whole bunch of drugs and went into the bathtub. That's not a good recipe. Yeah, but he was really on the way down. He was gaining weight, and he was getting crazy, and he was acting irrational. Like, when you're young and you're taking a lot of drugs, you can get away with a lot for a while.
Yep.
Same thing with Hendrix and Joplin and all that. You can get away with it for a while, but it was 1970, and he was 28, and he died when Janis died when she was 28, and Hendrix died when he was 28, and Kurt Cobain died when he was.
I thought it was 27 Club.
Wasn't it 28?
I think it's the 27 Club.
Let's see. The 27. We have the idea right. We just don't have the number. Let's see. Is it called the 27 Club or the 28 Club? Yeah, you're right. It is 27. Jimi Hendrix, Janis Joplin, Jim Morrison, Kurt Cobain, and Amy Winehouse. Robert Johnson, Brian Jones. So and it's not a coincidence. It's like 27 is the age where you're getting toward you're getting out of your 20s. It's the late 20s, and you're not this resilient little kid anymore where you snap back. You drink all night and you just snap back.
Tell me about it.
And so then you go one of two directions. Either like with Janis, like either you just start double down and just partying harder and harder, just upping your quantities, or you're going to rehab and you're getting out of it, or else you're putting a shotgun in your mouth. I mean, those are the examples we have, yeah, they, very, very famous story of the Doors, and Oliver Stone's treatment of it. Oliver Stone is an interesting dude because when he made JFK, when he made the movie JFK, a great movie, but like a very heavy subject, and it kind of changed his whole thinking, and he became, I think, less of a filmmaker at that point and more of a social commentator.
Yeah.
Because then he got into like court cases and arguments about can I get this documents released and stuff like that. It was like when the documentary guys starts to become part of the story. So that's what happened with that. But a lot of great music documentaries. You can't really count Crumb as a music documentary, but Crumb is a musician, and Crumb toured, many years. Not like world tours, but playing live and playing in front of audiences and playing certain kinds of music.
It was
You
like
know,
blues. It was pretty much all standard blues, like from the core.
it was like he was like the 20s, like swing folk or whatever, like
Swing folk. Wow.
jazz swing folk.
Right.
And then he gets a little bit more into something called musée, which is a French style of music that involves an accordion, I think, and banjo and like a guitar, mandolin, stuff like that. But he was a talented musician, and he a lot of his art became about the music. He was doing all those blues artists, and he was doing comics about all them. Those Some of his best works are like him trying to really show reverence to these blues artists that didn't that they lived these topsy-turvy lives, and they didn't really get the credit that they should have.
Founders of rock and roll, man. The founders of rock and roll.
Yeah, the progenitors of rock and roll that would come later. Yeah, that I don't know what else you want to count in there. Let's see. We have the Queen thing finally came out. I'm waiting for the Ozzy thing because Ozzy's gone now, and I don't know if someone's gonna do like a Sabbath movie or an Ozzy movie. But that's an incredible story. Because Ozzy was just like this kid from where's he from? Cambridge or
somewhere in England.
Yeah, and and then he invents heavy metal. He invents
He invents heavy metal.
Every subgenre starts with Sabbath. Every doom
What about
metal.
Zeppelin?
They were doing blues, man. They were a bunch. There was a bunch of artists that just electrified the blues. That's all Led Zeppelin was doing. And then when Sabbath came along, they brought it to like kind of like the demonic thing, and it started everything. It started horror,
but it wasn't derivative of blues.
Some of the songs were. It's really interesting. I mean, they're the template for everything that came later, like all the heavy metal, hair metal. It was a major factor. Some of those riffs down, stuff like that, really just like changed it. I mean, a lot of people don't realize Tony Iommi, who's still alive. He was in Jethro Tull for a little while, and he actually played live with them and the Rock and Roll Circus, which was filmed and released by the Rolling Stones.
Yeah.
No,
it was never released on television. I think it was released. It had limited release as a movie, I think is what they reformed it as, because once they showed it to the television people, they were like, hell no, you can't put this on. That is a really great show. Woo.
Yeah, Ozzy's from Birmingham. I love the Rock and Roll Circus, but Jethro Tull is coming out and playing the song that doesn't really sound like Jethro Tull either. It just sounds like this crazy 60s rock. And who's the guitarist on that but Tony Iommi? And he's a great interview too. I've seen him interviewed, I think like Opie and Anthony's show or something, and it's just like I'm just like glued to everything he's saying. It's fascinating stuff. But but Ozzy just passed. I was very sad about that, and I think his wife is just such an incredible Sharon! His wife is just such an incredible marketer that they gotta be in talks to do the story in some kind of blockbuster movie. I don't know who's gonna possibly play him.
That's gotta be the issue. I mean, that's
I don't know. Well, you don't want to screw this up. You don't want to, for sure. But what a story. Yeah. And so we're waiting for that to come out, but I don't know. Are there any others in the chat? I can't really think of any others.
No. Buddy Holly and La Bamba.
Right.
La Bamba.
Well,
I mean, there's look. There's a ton. Like you could. I'm like, is it Was it Almost There, or what was that one with? It was about
Almost
basically
Famous.
Almost Famous. Yeah, Almost Famous. I mean,
That was fictionalized.
yeah, but it was based on
Zeppelin.
well, yeah, but the guy who was trying to become a writer and then ends up becoming a director.
Yeah, he married the guitar player from Heart, and he did become a famous director, but he was like a writer slash fan that was following around Zeppelin, and then he wrote the screenplay to Almost Famous to capture the very controversial storyline about these underage teens that would follow the band groupies. But I think they had to play very fast and loose with how old are these girls, because
Right.
in real life, Jimmy Page fell deeply in love with I want to say 16-year-old, but
Yeah, I think it is.
maybe she was even 15. And Bowie also, had dalliances, and Ted Nugent and all these, it was a different time, everybody says, but nobody was checking
Policing.
Nobody was policing anything back then. So there are people that remind you, like if you're in the comments of some Reddit thread or something, like Jimmy Page could have easily been locked up, very easily been locked up for, he had a very well-known relationship with that girl.
Is the same one Iggy Pop also had a relationship with? I
When
saw.
when she got older, I think she married. Well, there was different ones, but the one of them ended up marrying Steven Tyler. And and some of these girls were got mentioned in the lyrics of songs too.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah.
Like Sweet Canada.
Yeah.
But that's all part of the story. They never really did a Led Zeppelin movie. Led Zeppelin, they never did a movie about the Eagles. These are like some of the best selling artists of all history are Led Zeppelin and the Eagles. They go back and forth with like who sold
Song remains the same, man. That's it's a live concert, cuts of live, but they all have like was it Robert Plant had the riding the horse, and Claymore, and like some like
they filmed
wool invested stuff, but they all had it was
they filmed some sequences that made it look a little cinematic, but they were basically just filling visuals to match the live concert, because John Paul Jones was lost in a keyboard solo for like 15 minutes, and they were like, we better go film some B-roll, and so that story's never been told, and there's some great stuff there. But I did see a great documentary about Zeppelin. I don't know if I mentioned it on the air. It's fantastic. I think it was called Making Zeppelin, or Making Led Zeppelin, and I highly recommend that people go out and see it, because it's the band. It's Jimmy and John Paul Jones and Robert Plant all telling their side, and they even have some lost footage of John Bonham. So it's a great way to see that. How about Jimi Hendrix? There's never been a documentary about Jimi Hendrix.
No, there is.
Andre
5000 played them. It's actually good. I mean, it's an art house kind of thing.
Oh, wait. So you're talking about a biopic, but not a documentary.
Oh. Okay. I thought I'm still trying to really think of. I mean, it's hard to do. It's hard to do a biopic without obviously leaning heavy on the top performance, the songs that hook them into the zeitgeist of the world consciousness and everything. But
so What you're talking about is Jimmy, All Is By My Side, released in 2013, directed by John Ridley, starring Andre 3000. Yeah, that came and went without me even hearing about it.
Yeah, is
So,
this the
and
first
I'm
time
one
you're
of the
hearing
big,
about it? First time you're hearing about it?
yeah.
Whoa, get ready,
Yeah.
dude. It is not a pretty picture.
Well, it couldn't have been good.
It was good. I liked it a lot. But
Really? Okay.
I was really surprised in the direction they took of it.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll check it out. You know, the Hendrix story is interesting because I was just texting my guitar player
What's going on? I
about
lost him.
a, a album I was listening to. What happened in what happened in the Jimi Hendrix Yeah, so I'm looking now at the movie, and I've never heard of director John Ridley, but I'm clicking on him. He was the writer and director, so good on him for getting a
Hey,
movie made.
Jake,
Yeah,
can you hear me? Just so you
yep.
know, every time that you bring your phone up and you do a search, you drop, at least on my side. I don't know if it's actually happening
Yeah, that's
on. It's because you're dragging your Wi-Fi down. So, and then of course it has to pipe into me. So technically, you shouldn't be doing what you're
yeah,
doing.
what I'm dropping like that because it's because of 7 novels. And oh wow, that's funny. His first novel, Stray Dogs, was made into the feature film U-Turn, directed by Oliver Stone and starring
Whoa!
Sean Penn, Jennifer Lopez. What are the
Wow!
chances of that? We were just talking about that movie.
Small world.
Um, he wrote the screenplays for Undercover Brother, and he wrote the story for Three Kings, which was a war movie, which I did see, featuring Ice Cube. So yeah, he's been around. He's done some pretty considerable movies, and so I'm going to put this Jimi Hendrix documentary biopic on my viewing list, and this is why I meet Kurt every week online, and we could talk about stuff because uh, I need some good stuff to watch when I'm finished catching up with my basketball. But oh god, IMDb is like tons of pop-ups at this point. I hate it. Yeah, so biopics, movie. There's a lot of great ones out there that I'm sure that we're not remembering right now. But that's why we have the chat. If anybody else wants to come up with another thing is like the untapped potential for animation. With some of these because some of these artists are larger than life, and like somebody like Ozzy, you just never going to do justice. Like
It's a
same thing with
really,
Jimi
really,
Hendrix.
really good point. That is a super like do an Ozzy biopic as a 2D animation.
I mean that would be cool, but I don't think Hollywood's going to do that. But the other thing is like this Bob Marley movie just came out like this past year, and I refused to see it because as soon as I saw the actor, I didn't like how he looked, and he didn't seem like Bob Marley at all to me. It was the same guy that played Martin Luther King, and I didn't like him in that either. And I guess it's hard because you got to find somebody, otherwise you're not going to get the movie. Like Elvis, when they did that Elvis movie, that was a great portrayal. That actor,
Yep.
He was in a couple things. He was in that motorcycle movie too.
Yeah.
And people love the job that what's his name did in portraying Freddie Mercury in Bohemian Rhapsody.
Yeah, but he was like almost made just for that movie. Like anything else he's in, I'm just like, why is Freddie Mercury in this movie? And I'm not trying to be mean. I'm not. But he's so dead on. Like it was a great movie. I mean, perfect personification of him.
The Dylan movie Dylan did a good job. Dylan,
Timothée Chalamet.
Yeah, he did a very good job.
I haven't seen it yet.
Well, yeah, I mean, he was actually, from what I understand, he was actually singing live on a soundstage when they cut those takes of him performing.
Yeah, he spent like 2 years in that character, living in New York, and just like, I don't know. I saw an interview with him, and it was like, whoa, But
there was a Ray Charles one which I never saw.
Oh yeah, with Jamie Foxx. That was really good.
Oh yeah, and of course the new Michael movie's out right now. Which it turns my stomach because my students, they love Michael Jackson, and one time I asked them like I said I really I love Michael Jackson's music. He's super talented and everything. I love, the early stuff. It really sticks in your mind. I said, but I really feel conflicted when I'm listening to him because of all the stuff that happened with the, with the court and everything. And my students like, huh? And I was like, God, I was like, you don't know. Well, I said, you don't know about this? Michael Jackson was in court. He was arrested and he was accused and all the, and they were like, no. And like, they're shaking their head. They're like, oh no, that's all fake. That's all made up. And I was like, well, there's two sides to every story, but you can go on, do your own research. But the one thing that always bothered me was that he paid $56 million for the kid to sign a non-disclosure, and the kid is never allowed to tell his story anywhere about what happened, and that's a lot of money. So to me, that says a lot. Like, this guy's got, umpteen lawyers, but he's paying somebody $50 million for silence. That didn't bode well for me. I mean, to me, there's kind of no question in my mind that he diddled around with kids. So, yeah.
Well, I mean, I think the hardest part about a character like Michael Jackson is there's a departure he makes from planet Earth. Do you get what I'm saying? Like, he's not, I almost like he's just not like real anymore. And then there was this, an automaton, not a cartoon, but like this being, like, because there's a point where when he was alive, through marrying Liz Taylor, Priscilla Presley, adopting 2 kids, there's some weird documentary, or not a documentary, an interview with that British really aggressive interviewer, reporter. I'm not like going up against what you're saying, like, or you're feeling about it. I have a hard time gauging him as like one of us. Now I know that he is, and I get that, but my brain goes into this place like there was a point where he then never had to be like any other person on the face of the earth. And so therefore, being catered to, people wanting to keep their investments sound, a lot of things. And, him dying because was it fentanyl?
It was, yeah. Well,
Well, I know Prince was fentanyl, right? Prince
yeah,
was
he was.
given.
Michael Jackson was definitely doctor shopping, and the doctor, I think, got sentenced.
Yeah.
But he was facing a lot of yeah, he was basically just a pusher, and he was giving Michael whatever he wanted. And
well, I'm sure my point for only bringing that up is like I'm sure he could get anything he wanted and get away with anything he wanted, and he kind of did. You know what I mean? Like he was never charged on anything. He was never sentenced, for anything. Like because there was a lot of tax evasion and I mean, just a lot of things. Like I have the same issue with people judging art from like 100+ years ago, or even like 50 years ago. Like it's okay. There's a point where Michael Jackson departs from human and becomes art, if that makes any kind of sense. And I don't think I really want to make it kind of, because I'm not trying to defend him. But
yeah, he was definitely otherworldly. But
right. Like so, it almost like it's like, why wouldn't he have tried to XYZ ABC through?
Yeah, when you're that rich.
I mean?
He built his own ranch, and he had his own amusement park, and he brought kids.
It's really. But let me ask you. But do you? Here's really what formulates the question for me is like. So watching him, you're not seeing this kind of like artsy character, like quote unquote performing and doing whatever maybe is being portrayed. I mean, you're trying to see him as a human being.
Michael Jackson?
Yeah.
I was sharing that I'm very conflicted whenever a Michael Jackson song comes on, because you want to like it, but you cannot forget that he paid $50 million for a kid to be quiet, and that was only one case that we know of. There was many other. I mean, he was indicted and booked and perp walked and mugshotted and fingerprinted and all that, and he spent a lot of time in court fighting criminal charges. So, and then it all goes away when he just, when they just negotiated the final price of how much it was going to take to make it all go away. Then it all goes away,
Yeah, no, that's the thing. Now, Travis is telling us that. Yeah, when you put your phone on, there's an actual drop happening on the stream. So just a heads up, okay?
Thank you for reminding me. But usually when I'm showing something and then I look away, I don't center it anymore. And I know.
No. You're actually you go away. Like your side of the feed drops out because your phone is competing with the streaming of your camera and audio.
Oh, because what? Because I'm loading something? No, that can't be.
No, it is, Jake. It is. It's from, because you have to, please understand the dynamic. You have to upload video and audio of your podcasting. I have to receive it because I'm now streaming it to YouTube, right? And I have my own video and my own audio. Then you're adding, like I have to shut down anything like my emails. Like I have 2 email accounts I usually keep up, and I didn't have them shut down. So I had to, because what happens is then they automatically refresh. So it sends a signal through the internet. So when you get on your phone and you're searching stuff, you're definitely causing a little bit of bottleneck. But if I'm also doing something too, I think you can kind of get the short end of the stick. So it's just that I'm not saying don't ever do it. I'm just saying be careful.
I think I don't know if it's as easily formularized as that, because usually when we're taping, I'm streaming the thing. I'm streaming the YouTube on my phone just to see if there's any comment. And so I've always been doing that, and I think the additional request of like pulling up a website shouldn't be that much different from the streaming that's already happening. But Yeah, it's a great topic. There was an Elton John movie called Rocket Man 2019. I never saw. There was a Straight Outta Compton 2015, which I did see, and I think that one was interesting because some of the NWA second generation, like the sons and nephews were the actors and stuff.
Yeah.
Let's see, Love and Mercy. We spoke about the Johnny Cash. Oh, Sid and Nancy.
Ooh, Johnny Cash. That's a good one. Yeah, Sid and Nancy. I do have that on my little list. I was going to bring that up.
Yeah, Sid and Nancy. I mean, Johnny Cash was Phoenix.
Yeah.
Joaquin Phoenix, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
He did a great job on that. That was a big hit. Sid and Nancy is considered like one of the just best movies of all time. In some circles, I know a lot of people that think that's just one of the best movies of all time. It's Gary Oldman playing Sid. And I remember seeing that one. Yeah. Sometimes they get like an obscure artist, musician to do a thing like that movie. What was it called? Shine. Or the one about the crazy piano guy who was like autistic. Remember? Yeah, Shine. It was Jeffrey Rush, a child prodigy. It was an interesting story, and it was based on a true life about this concert pianist. So
how about Mozart?
What? Yeah, Amadeus, exactly.
Amadeus. That's a fucking amazing movie.
Yeah.
Oh shit! I just had another one too.
Coal Miner's Daughter. I just saw the other day. I just saw the Song Sung Blue, which was it wasn't about Neil Diamond. It was about a Neil Diamond impersonator. And
yeah, Hugh Jackman.
Hugh Jackman. Yeah, I don't know. I don't even know if that was based on a true story.
Yeah, it is.
Okay. Yeah, you mentioned La Bamba. That wasn't about Buddy Holly. That was about Richie Valens.
No. That was Travis putting up that it was La Bamba. But that was a Buddy Holly story they've done and La Bamba. He was just adding it to the comments.
There was a movie called Nowhere Boy about John Lennon. I never heard of it.
Are you like scrolling through stuff right now?
Yeah, I'm looking at a list. Oh yeah.
No, it's fine. It's fine. I'm just
Nowhere Boy. That's supposed to be John Lennon. It doesn't. Why do they have the Buddy Holly glasses?
Why Velvet Goldmine, which was supposed to be a Bowie movie.
Bowie versus Iggy, yeah.
And I don't even know why that. I mean, it is blatantly, and it's a Broadway play too, by the way.
So, 8 Mile was the Eminem vehicle that made him huge. Sex and Drugs and Rock and Roll. I don't know who. Oh, that's about Ian Dury and the Blockheads. Yeah, the Buddy Holly story comes out in 1978. Round Midnight was about a gifted black saxophonist with a drinking problem. Yeah.
Is there one for Miles Davis? Has somebody done a documentary for Miles Davis?
I'm not seeing one so far. Yeah, no, a lot of these are recognizable. Here's Bird. That was about Charlie Parker. Oh, here.
Yeah, that was.
Here you go. Miles Davis right here.
What's it called?
It's called Miles Ahead.
Oh shit! I did see that. Oh my
Don
god!
Cheadle.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. That's an awesome. He was so good with that.
Tim Buckley. This was an interesting guy. He was like a folksy guitar guy. And he died early, very young. Here's Lady Sings the Blues. Remember that? 1972. Diana Ross with Billy D. Williams.
Yeah.
Richard Pryor was in that. Great movie. The Runaways we spoke about. Respect. I never saw. That's a recut.
Control for Joy Division. Ian. I want to say Ian Curry, but it's not. It's Ian McCullough. Damn. Why can't I?
So Jennifer Lopez played Selena in 1997. Oh yeah, I saw this one, Cadillac Records. I saw that one. That was all about chess records. Here's the Jimmy one. Yeah, and then that's about it. So yeah, I think we covered it, but they didn't even have Taking Woodstock there, but I would recommend that. Great movie, Ang Lee. Yeah, so interesting stuff.
You had some other topic that I derailed you from. I just wanted to take a moment of your time, but so,
well,
I don't know if you remember. You have something written down that you did have another topic to.
Well, I do have to
speak to.
I wanted to talk about the MechTech logo. There's this like society that Mr. Ike belongs to of mechanics, and I designed somewhere on paper the MechTech logo, and I think it looks like this. There's an M, and then there's a T that goes right across it like this. And so anybody that's in the MechTech guild of like mechanics that all have this like allegiance to to this guild will have this logo. This is the MechTech logo. So this is a patch that's going to be on Mr. Ike's shoulder right here, and so we want to show that very prominently the right way. No, I can launch into my my stack and try to work through this gigantic box that I have here. Let's see what we got that I didn't do. I'll just grab at random, not too many. I don't want to take too long. I love doing this segment, but shouldn't take too long. All right, here we go.
Whoa! Wow, what a cover! What the hell is that?
I know it. Folks, this is something you should never do, and that is when you're making a comic cover and you're making original art. Never use these kind of markers. Oh, okay. Bye-bye. My daughter just saying bye. So yeah, look at this. You can see the streakiness.
I love it. I just love that. I'm getting a copy. I'm looking for it right now.
You like that?
I haven't even seen the inside. I just love how rough that is.
So
that's outlaw, man. That is outlaw. That's outlaw coloring right there, people.
This is outlaw coloring. So it looks like they penciled it and inked it, and I don't know if they did this right on the original or if they did a photocopy, but it looks like they took water soluble markers that show streakiness, right? I'll show you what I mean right here, right? If you're coloring in with this, it doesn't all get uniform. You can see the streakiness.
Yeah, I love that. The
overlap and
love it.
And then it fades, so it gets even worse and worse over time. But this is Pied Piper Comics, which I've seen. I have some.
You've gotten. I think you've even turned me on to a couple of their books.
Yep. I found some interesting ones. And this is, let's see what we got, 1987. Wow. Let me try and get this situated better. Okay, like this. 1987. Pied Piper Comics is coming from Grand Rapids, Michigan in 1987. And they have a bunch of, they're the ones that did X Mutants.
Oh, yeah.
They're the ones that did American Ninja, Beast Warriors of Shaolin, Hero Alliance. I was just showing.
Holy shit, that was last week.
Yeah, but that was first. I thought that was first comics.
Maybe they got another deal.
Well, yeah, we'll look at the ads at the end. But here's what the art looks like. It's black and white inside and pretty professional.
Wow. Holy shit.
So let's see. We have the penciler is Jack Snyder. The inker is Jeff D. And the co-plotters are David Lawrence and Dennis Duarte. And Dennis Duarte wrote the script. They call it Anarchy in the UK, a great title that throws back to the Sex Pistols' famous song. But yeah, look at all this. It looks action-packed. Yeah.
It looks really good. Really good. Really well done.
Splash.
I wonder if it's in I can't remember. I think Pied Piper is reprinting English comics, like
Uh,
UK comics.
I don't know. I don't know. Well, here's the Hero Alliance, which I just showed last week. So I guess they are doing the Hero Alliance.
Right.
I thought
Yeah.
that was a different one.
Yeah.
Uh, no, it says Grand Rapids, Michigan. So I don't know if there's a UK connection, but and here they're talking about all these different titles. But let's see the ads in the back, because this is when it actually gets to some artwork. Hero Alliance #2 was just coming out. I never saw this cover before. I have like two issues of that. And then here's a special Hero Alliance preview with penciler Ron Lim. That's a name who ended up going to Marvel.
Yeah.
Let's see. And here's the Beast Warriors of Shaolin, #1 and #3 coming soon. Okay, the legend continues. So hot title, back issues going fast. I don't have that. That looks good. The Beast Warriors of Shaolin. And yeah, here we go. Also available, X Mutants #6, 7, and 8, and the New Humans #1, 2, and 3. So this is the New Humans #3, and they're already selling it as a back issue. And then there's Aaron #1, an X Mutants micro series. So they had a spin-off, and then they have the Hero Alliance graphic novel. So props to these guys at Pied Piper Press, Grand Rapids, Michigan. And these are some of their distributors: Cap City, Friendly Franks, Multi Books, and these guys are all gone now. Bud Plant.
What year did you say that was?
87.
Wow.
Yeah.
I probably had copies of that back
The
then.
early days. All right, I bought Logan's Run because Logan's Run is a fantastic science fiction movie that became a comic series. But when you get to #7, I don't know if they're still serializing the actual movie at this point, or if they get to the point where the movie's over and then they're just like doing Marvel Comics at that point.
Well, it was a television series.
It was a television series, but if I remember, it was only like a half an hour, which was a weird format, or maybe it was an hour series, but it was very very low budget, because that was what Denny O'Neil was talking about. He was working for Hollywood when they were trying to adapt some of those sci-fi movies into TV series, and it didn't it wasn't the highest quality.
Clicking.
So it says based on concepts from the MGM movie, adapted from the novel from George C. Johnson and William F. Nolan, but it's based on concepts. So I think, like, I don't know how many issues it took to run through all of the stuff that happened in the actual movie, and I don't think there was ever a sequel to Logan's Run. But it was a good
That's
movie.
what the television series was supposed to be expanding, because they were driving around in that. Basically, the car that they're driving around in, for me, looks like the Tesla pickup truck. So I've actually been able to get my wife to say Logan's Run every time. It's like a Punch Buggy Blue when you see a blue BMW. So I have it now that when Wendy and I are in a car and we're driving somewhere and you see one, you're the first one that has to say Logan's Run. So
So here's what Kurt's talking about.
But it's been in like a couple of television shows, a couple of movies. Like, they really got the use out of that car.
Yeah, I think they used the same thing for, and they talk about here this Tesla Cybertruck. I think they actually used the same vehicle in the Planet of the Apes too, TV series.
Right.
So basically, this is just like some kind of go-kart frame that they just build on top of, and it looks really low budget in Hollywood, but what are you gonna do? Like that's what Denny O'Neil was saying. It was like they gave absolutely zero resources to these TV shows,
and they science fantasy,
right? And you're supposed to be doing like the future, and building cars.
Travis.
So this is art by Tom Sutton. It's kind of weird because Klaus Janson is doing the inks, and it's kind of weird how, like, I'm gonna show like this, like how thick of a black line he was using It looks like he was using a brush and he was just going really big, and then he would maybe like clean the brush off and thin it out. But look at some of these black lines. Yeah, I mean, it's chunky monkey. This is like Steve Ditko some places,
Love it.
And then here, look how action packed this is, right? And you have all these like females escaping, and I remember this whole thing that we got a runner. Logan's Run is a great movie. If folks didn't see it, go back and see it. It's like everybody in this world at age 30, you're expiring. So you have to jump into this like hole and then you die. And there was like, so
well, it wasn't like, it was kind of also thought of as like reconstituting you. So you were actually going to come back, I guess, at some other time or so. I think there was
they used to, right. I think the whole premise was that I think the whole premise was that you had like a little chip in your hand or a little gem in your hand.
Yeah.
And they were selling people on the idea that when you're 30, you go in for this renewal and you go down this chasm and that you get reborn or something like that. But then when they find out that it was all bullshit, then people start running and they want to escape the dome. And then Logan, who was one of the, he was one of the force that used to go like chase them. He actually goes on a run himself, because he finds out that the whole thing is bogus. But it's like we got a runner. That's where we got a runner comes from. So Logan's Run number 7, really interesting stuff. I can't wait to sit down and read that. What is this? I don't know why I bought this. It's an Image comic and it's called The Goddamned, and I'm gonna flip through it now. Ooh.
Oh yeah.
So I'm going to assume that this was an alternate cover because I don't think the cover does justice to the insides. The insides look really good. I like this.
Yeah.
And I like the color scheme too.
Yeah, me too.
That they're using here. It looks real gritty and lands and like
European. Looks very European.
Yeah, kind of like if the Road Warrior was maybe like in a third world, wasteland, maybe. It
reminds me of Lieutenant Blueberry. Mobius is Blueberry. The color, the kind of feel, the weight of the story in the kind of like blue sky and tan desert. But then when you go to night, things go to blue.
Yep, kind of desperate and desolate and all this, these like little like tribal thing. Yeah, this looks like a good comic. The Goddamned, Before the Flood, issue 4. So I might try and track these down, and I'm not going to read it unless I can get them all together. By the way, you're bringing up because that did have like a little bit of a heavy metal look to it. But when I was in the movies yesterday, are you ready for me to unveil what I saw in the movies yesterday? I went with my brother. Saturday matinee. There was only 12 people in the theater, so it is kind of descending. But I saw Spider-Man yesterday.
Oh, you did see the movie?
Yes, I did see Spider-Man. And
why? Why?
My brother wanted to go.
Okay. Well, if you got family, if you love your brother that much, you have to have sacrifices. Did he pay for the movie? Did he pay for the ticket?
He did, but I had to buy the food, and we ate.
Oh shit! He made out.
We went to Matter of Health, and we ate in the little. But I want to bring up that. So I'm not going to talk about Spider-Man right now. It's still going on, and there are some spoilers, which I'll talk about, and not because of the movie or the story or anything, but like I want to talk about what characters they're choosing to use on the big screen. And I want to get into a talk about that in the future with you because, it goes to this whole question of like, are they crediting Jack Kirby on that one? Like, is his estate getting money? How much? All that kind of stuff. Because, when, it's a big movie. It had a huge opening, very, very big opening. And I think it might have trailed off a little bit. But they said that the opening week they had was bigger than Avengers Endgame opening week.
You see the trailer for Avengers Doomsday?
Yeah, that's coming out in December, and Yeah, they released. They're doing like a
Nice.
drip campaign, releasing all these trailers little by little. But I wanted to call your attention to this preview that I saw, and it's called Dog Stars, and it looks like a Ridley Scott movie.
Yeah,
And
yeah. I saw that.
oh, you saw the preview for that? Oh,
Uh-huh.
okay. Yeah, it looks really good. It looks like kind of like a survival story in a wasteland.
Yep.
So I'm looking forward to that. The preview looks really nice. All right, here we go. Slave labor graphics and ICPA present Neoman Book 2 by Gary Winnick and Frank Scirocco. And when you open it up, you got grayscale jumping out at you. This is 1988. Slave labor
Oh,
graphics.
wow.
Slave labor was a pretty small outfit, but they were putting out some sci-fi here.
That kind of reminds me of Charlie's work, Saboteur Comics.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
you hear that, Saboteur?
I don't know if he's here with us. He usually says good
Look
morning.
at this. You have a guy in a bubble. This guy's in like a robo suit. They're
Cool.
chasing people down.
Nice.
This style. So this artist is like Frank Scirocco, I guess, or either Winnick or Scirocco. And you know, this is, I guess, this is the future, and they're still driving AMC Pacers, I guess. But I can't find one on the road. It's 2026, and I can't find one on the road. Yeah, the art style reminds me a little bit of Howard Chaykin. You know, it's kind of like these, you know, these blacks, these slashing blacks, and I don't know, maybe some of the way that they're doing the drawing. I don't know, just me. You know, a little bit of Claus Jensen too, who we just saw, but these are just like things that reminds me of. And this action is a little bit sparse. You know, like there's not too many words on the page with the pictures, but it looks like they're going through some stuff here. So Neoman Book 2, and then of course we have to look at the ads in the back for slave labor graphics. Here we have Samurai Penguin, which was obviously one of the takeoffs on Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles that came out. And I don't know if this actually came out or not, Samurai Penguin.
Yeah, it did.
Oh, it did?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, let's see. This is, I think this is the t-shirt. So I guess that came out. And then here we have Hero Sandwich. And it doesn't say who the creators are, but this chick is wearing like a jumpsuit that's falling apart and barely covering her stuff, her goodies. And she's got like this bazooka launcher thing and a handgun. So in a graveyard. So I don't know. On sale now. Issue number 4. So be on the lookout for that. And then here, nothing on the back cover. So it says pencils and inks, Gary Winnick, Frank Scirocco, layout and design. So there's that. So finally, we're going to cover this. Oh, wait, we did this already, didn't we?
Yeah.
Didn't we
Well, one of them.
yeah.
Spire Comics. Is that what it is?
Yeah, so I found a new one. I
Yeah.
think this is a new one because I'm holding this in my hand, and it's pretty ample. It's pretty thick. So Al Hartley is a guy that he was an artist and and a publisher, and he was putting out Christian comics. And here we can see this kind of like backpacker guy and this chick with a guitar, and then this nice looking Barbie lady, and it's very dated and very 70s. 39 cents, by the way, Kurt. So
wow.
I've never seen a comic that was 39 cents.
39 cents.
39
What
cents.
an odd. What year is this again?
1977.
39 cents. That is
so
strange.
last time we checked in with Al Hartley, I did get my hands on an Archie comic that he got permission to put out from the Jewish publisher of Archie comics. But here, this looks really cool. It looks like this guy who's out on the backpack. He seemed to be another hitchhiker, but he carried more than a backpack. He had a burden and it needed to be lifted. So this is called In His Steps, and this gets into in like total Jesus stuff. He wanders into the church. He takes the microphone, and he's got this huge like lettering style. You can see that like these letters are those like gigantic letters. I've been in town for 3 days. I haven't felt any love or concern. And the townsfolk are saying, who's this creep? I've seen things that wouldn't exist if all the people who sang hymns went out and lived them. What would Jesus do if he, and then the guy keels over? It's his heart, but he's still alive. Take him to the parsonage. And then so the guy collapses, and now he's questioning. It seems that something's wrong. Nobody really cares. What would Jesus do? So we're going pages and pages of this, of people in the Archie Comics style of drawing, of questioning themselves. Look at this, promoting skin flicks, talking about Amazing Starlet here. We got the Hollywood lifestyle. And here we were showing nuclear death clouds, mushroom clouds, and all this stuff about Jesus's word, but people aren't living it. We showed this before. Well, I showed this before.
Well, one of them, they were all pretty like a repetitive message. It was about basically don't fall into society's trappings, or you'll eventually get to the Lord's word, sooner or later.
I love this page right here. God loves you, Laureen. He wants to forgive you. How can he? I'm hooked on sex and drugs.
Rock on.
I love how the drugs was after the sex. First, she admits that she's a sexual addict. Then she admits that she's. Oh, by the way,
the drugs are just to take her down. Give her some reprieve.
Right.
Some Valium.
And she says, just give him a chance. And they're in the middle of Times Square, by the way. And she says,
horrible place.
Let me go to hell. The devil's waiting for me. And she says, no, you belong to Jesus now. You're coming home with me. And they get into her Mercedes.
Nice. Good friend to have.
They come to this luxury house with a winding stairway. And grandma's waiting there. I'm interested in what Jesus says. Yeah, this is some crazy stuff, man. So it goes on and on like that. And I love when they show like the X-rated stuff. Yeah, there's So there's that one. This one I went over this one already. The Last Generation. This is great. I'm not gonna do this one again. All right, here's something new. Ready for this? This is a comic company that is so terrible at graphics, at title graphics, that you can't even read the name of the company because they printed the company name in such small type on a black background with fine line red letters that it completely disappears. Like, tell me what this company is called.
Pull it down.
Let's see. I can see it better.
Yeah.
Black something.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Good.
Terrible. So this is called Emo Girl, and stiff cover by Lawler Montiel Rufino. Very stiff cover. A little too heavy. So, I did this too with Do Magazine #1. I'm going to back off a little bit on this. I think this is like, I did a 90-pound card stock, and this might be like 100-pound card stock. So I'm going to go down to maybe 80. We'll just go down a little bit at a time. But I'm interested. What's Emo Girl all about? And what's this Black Something Comics all about? So it's called Black Tooth Comics from El Paso, Texas. And this comes out in 2021-2. And I like this. So I think I bought this because there was another one there that was open and I could flip through it. But I bought this because let's see, this is #1. I bought #1. So I might collect it. I might go back and get this. Let's see. Emo Girl. So it starts out, she's in a penitentiary and she's talking to somebody who, her dad. and her dad's locked up, and she's on the outside. And here we go, a little bit of talking, and then we get to this: how can you save humanity and have fun at the same time? So now we're seeing the Black Veils, which looks like an emo band right here, and you got the Misfits guy with the devil lock and the guy with the top hat and the keyboard. And then we're still in prison here, and it's really kind of like these dark, brooding panels with the dad, and now we go to the girl. The art's good. The drawing is good. I don't like all this talking, sitting around talking. The pages are kind of dark. I guess they're going for a feel here with the emo girl. But yeah, it's kind of slow moving for me. And she's still in high school, but she's got this pentagram on her shirt. And so she's emo girl, and we don't really get to any action. So there's a lot of talking. And then, here we go. There's a guy.
Somebody wants a TV deal. They're trying to get a movie or TV deal.
Right, the Buffy the Vampire like audience. They get this guy out of a crypt, and he's got vampire teeth. So there is some occult happening. But I want to say, so here's my review. They show you like this full body, like looks like fully painted or nicely colored. It's all very dark. When you get inside, it's just a lot of talking heads. So I'm not, the story might be really good. You get to some action and some suspense at the end, but I think this artist is really good, and that they should focus a little more on action and a little less on the story.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is whoever came up with the story and created the story is using the comic book as a vehicle to sell it as a television show.
Yes,
it's 100% has nothing to do with comics. That it has nothing to do with comics.
Yeah, it sounds like a pitch for a series.
It is. Yeah. And then they've got an agent, and the agent's shopping it. And, oh, look, they're on issue 4. And you know what? It's God bless, man. Like, if that happens for them, it happens for them. That's their goal. That's great. But for me, it's not a comic book because I'm not going to sit there and read a comic book with a bunch of people talking about what the words are. You know what I mean? Well, I don't think anybody's into that kind of stuff, but there must be.
Well, somebody's out there that they're trying.
Well, that's the other thing. The other thing is that they're saying, hey, look, we've sold 30,000 copies of this, which they probably haven't. They've printed 30 copies and probably sold 3,000. But that's why you got it for what? $1 or less than $1?
I got it for $1, and they had more than one copy there. I only bought number 1 to give it a try.
Right.
But let's see. Emo Girl Comics. How did they do with Lawler? They got to number 4 in 2023. It's a noir style comic book series published by Blacktooth, and and they might be still going in local comic shops. Good for them. All right. Here's Evangeline. I bought these before. First Comics, 1987. Full color insides. As soon as I turn the page, I love this. I love this printing. I love the color and the printing. They're doing kind of like an off-white paper. It seems like, and this is 1987. So this is a really good copy. This is Evangeline number 3. And she's like some kind of adventurer. They have good art, and she's going through all this story and all these adventures. But she's like this traveler in the woods with rifles and skis and stuff. And all this stuff is happening.
She's a super agent, man.
Is she? Yeah, she's a super agent.
Super agent.
Right. And I mean, I've seen worse.
That's an easy option to get Angelina Jolie to purchase if she hasn't already.
Right.
Travis says he bought the whole set for his wife to get her into comics, and she didn't read them, but he did. So
What, Evangeline?
yeah. So
Really? Okay.
yeah.
I wonder how far they went. First Comics Publishing. Yeah, I mean, I just collect
Hey
them because.
Jake, we are coming up on 1:00. I was
Okay.
wondering if we could back away, just maybe just do that one and then maybe go through the comments because we have Brett's in there, Travis is in there, making a lot of decent comments. But I do have to get going, a little bit after 1:00. So.
This will be our last one for the day. This is Vault Comics, who I wish all the luck in the world because they're another one of these mid-tier indie publishers. I always try and take a look at what's inside of Vault Comics. This is Dead Box. And here we're seeing this like librarian-looking girl with all of these creepy things all around her. Turn the page, and I'm just like slapped in the face with like, this is like too much color, too much at once. Like, boom. I mean, there's a lot to see here, but maybe like just make it a color scheme rather than a bowl of Fruity Pebbles. The art looks good. The storytelling looks good. So there's some kind of story here. There's a girl who's real bookish, and she's like uncovering this mystery or something. It looks like they might be in the. Oh, they're talking about the year 2017. I don't know. So now we're in the future. I'm a little confused. There's a trucker guy with a 45, and yeah, it looks like small town stuff meets sci-fi. I don't know, hard to understand, and really kind of weird. One thing I don't like is the coloring, but this is Dead Box #1. So just took a little quick flip through there and got really confused. Russell, Iesma, Popov, and Endworld. So, one day I'm going to sit down, open it up, read it, try to figure out the whole thing. But that'll be the stack for today. And I'll move these all from the left to the right, or I can put these away. We did the Goddamn was good. We did the Logan's Run. We did the Neo Men. And we did the Emo Girl and the Evangeline. Oh, and we did the New Humans. Don't forget, from Pied Piper. That was another one. So back to the grind. On the outs, you said you got some comments you want to read?
Oh, I was looking for you to scroll through because I've been reading them. There's a lot. We didn't have to go through all of them, but it's good stuff. Good stuff.
Oh, okay. Yeah, maybe. Sorry if these are timely. Maybe we should keep an eye on these in case they're timely. But we were talking about the music biopics before. Dynamic Pages. Gary Oldman is a phenomenal actor. Pretty much everything he does. To me, Gary Oldman stole Oppenheimer. Agreed. The Beatles were inspired by Buddy Holly. You could say that. Buddy Holly was one of the early guys that Dylan, even the Mamas and the Papas, the Beatles were watching what was going on in America. The Rolling Stones need a biopic. Yes.
Impossible. Impossible. That's all I'm going to say.
Well, I did see a documentary about Bill Wyman, the bass player, and how
that's the only way you can do it.
Out of the spot.
You can't make a 2-hour movie about the Stones' life and career. I mean, just between Jagger and Keith,
Richards.
It's just come on.
If sometimes what they can do is they could take an album and they could say, all right, like they did that with the Beatles when they re-released all that old footage. They were like, all right, this was them struggling with the deadline and getting this album out on time, right? And
you could make a movie for every album, and I think that would appease me. But
right.
It's just nah.
So it says, what brand of markers did the artist use? And I'm gonna guess it was like Crayola or something really bad like that. Like it isn't as patchy here as it is here, but this is so distracting and just so unprofessional. Like this green splotchiness just comes out. And there are these water soluble markers that are for kids, and they go onto absorbent paper, and it's just like you can see every stroke how, unless you perfectly go across and make every single stroke the same, it's going to be scratchy and patchy. Reminds me of my current outlaw coloring in my upcoming outlaw comic, The Creep, 100 feet of pink perversion.
Brett.
Apex, yeah, let us know if you have some artwork, or whenever you're ready to plug that. Let us know when you have something. We'll definitely put that up. I love these old indie comics. They are going up in value. Not in North Carolina. I saw, they had maybe $50 bins, and I took me hours to go digging through them, and I pulled out a lot of great stuff. Yes, if you go to Boston, they're not gonna be dollar comics. If you go, it depends on where you go, but that's why I go down there.
That's why I go down there, and then you visit your wife.
Right. I know. Well, there's some great comic stores in Daytona and Orlando, but I've already been down there, so I have to let it like 2 or 3 years go by before I go back. Midwest goes blue slug bug, no backs. In the Midwest, they say blue slug bug, no backs.
That's great.
Punch. Let's see. Logan's Run featured Michael York, Richard Jordan, Farrah Fawcett, and Jenny Agutter. Yeah, the cameo of Farrah Fawcett is amazing because she appears as a dial a date, like she's not a robot. She's like they have a sequence where you're lonely, and so you dial up a date, and then a portal opens, and it's like she's teleported right into your room, and it's Farrah Fawcett.
If only. and I'm talking specifically about Farrah Fawcett. You know what I mean?
Turn on the phone.
If only.
Yeah. So and that was the imagery in that movie. Yeah. There are lots of great movie stills of her from that movie. Especially one that appeared in like Starlog magazine over and over, and she was just like, she was crossing her legs, and then she uncrossed her legs, and then they took a photo, and Farrah Fawcett was just like an amazing sex symbol, and so she did a couple of low budget sci-fi movies, but Logan's Run was considered a pretty decent hit at the time. Let's see. I think you guys should check out a new Image comic called Regicide #1. I check out comics all the time in the dollar bins. If I come across it, I'll look out for that one. I usually don't grab new comics, but I always look at the shop. This one caught my eye. I bought it and read it, and I may actually start a pull list for it. Regicide #1. Well, now you got me curious, so let's go over to Google Images, and we'll put in Regicide #1 from Image, and we'll see what comes up. And boom. Regicide. Okay, yeah, that looks interesting. Looks like they have some mature content because it's blocked out here. I don't know what the Reggie mean. Oh wow, this looks really good, Kurt. Look at this.
Oh, that's just a cover. Somebody did a cover.
Yeah, it might not be the inside.
Fooling you. What's the inside look like?
Yeah, they're just clickbaiting you.
Needs further into hit that that page. No, right below it.
This one?
Go one down. One more down. Yeah, the sequential.
Oh, okay.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, it looks interesting. Doesn't look like the same artist that did that page. It looks good.
Yeah.
It looks interesting. It's kind of like a heavy black.
Yeah, it is. Yeah,
a heavy black line, and then they're coloring. Yeah, because Image comics usually colored inside. So, all right, that is a good recommendation. Maybe I will go check that out on the stands when I go back to Newberry Comics. Next time I go to Newberry Comics. even though I lost my gift certificate, unfortunately. And now I just lost all my comments. How do we get back to the comments? Hello. Let's try this again. Okay, here we go. All right. Thanks, Kurt, for paying attention to the chat. Fruity Pebble. So, scrolling up. Let's see. I usually don't grab new comics, but I always look at the shop. December 18th, Avengers Doomsday. I Know Charlie, Saboteur Comics, Apex and Charlie. Frank Scirocco later worked with Carl Potts at Epic on Alien Legion. Oh, okay. I did recognize that style. I knew it.
I was going to say that. I should have said it.
Well,
I was a big Alien Legion. I was a big Alien Legions fan.
I wish you guys would read the chat. We are reading the chat. Better later than never.
Sorry, Brett.
This says Emo Girl is a brutally honest renegade lesbian. Is that a fact? Wait for the trade paperback. I once bought all of Evangeline comics for cheap to try to get my wife into comics. She never read them, so I did. They were decent. Evangeline printed on Baxter paper. Evangeline is a nun, if I remember right. Thanks, guys. Never say never, Kurt, about the Rolling Stones movie. Yes, it would take a series of movies, possibly a 7-season TV series on Rolling Stones. That would be interesting if they made it a Netflix series and they made it like
they have to.
They go through the early years and then they
break it up into 7 seasons. 7 albums or 7. Yeah, I mean, you've got so much there, man. So much.
So that as the actors age, the story can age, right?
Yeah. Kind of like what they did with the Queen. What was that?
Right.
Yeah, I thought that was done. I did not watch everything and all of it, but I think it was very well done to be able to age. They started with a younger actress and then they moved to an older actor. You know what I mean? But it was done and handled, and the material was just really well done.
Yeah, they have the different eras. Beatles and Rolling Stones TV shows would be like printing money, lots of sponsors and viewers. Well, you have to you really have to capitalize on that before your target. Time is flying, and I think I mentioned this before, but somebody did a survey on a college campus, and this was like 5 years ago, and they asked 20-year-olds, "Do you know who Paul McCartney is?" And they said that not even 1 out of 4 knew who Paul McCartney is. So.
You gotta get them to start somewhere. But hey, let's let these people get back to reading comics, buying them if they choose. My last little message to everybody: KurtBruegel.com right now has both these copies of the Doom Mags #1 and Turbo Pit Fighter, the first 12 pages. So you would get the first 20 pages of Turbo Pit Fighter here. Between these two, but also want to mention that at the end of summer, end of this month, starting in September, we're going to start opening up doing the indie creator exchange. So if you want to exchange, there's also a form that you can get to. I'll put that in there in the link at the bottom right down there where Jake is doing the closeout, where you can make a choice between either one, or if you've got 2 comics, I could send you 2 comics. But that's one of the things that we were saying at the beginning of the show. This is Jake's house. I'm hanging out with Jake here, but all you guys are also hanging out as well. And once again, I am watching the chat. We're going to get better and better at having some integration because Brett from Apex Comics, we have a great episode with him. We're going to get him back on there. Travis, like I said earlier, I've got a couple of his comics coming my way. I'm also going to be selling them at the 2 shows, SBX and IC3 in September. We've got Charlie, Bat Merc. This is really starting to shape into what Jake and I have really gotten into. Also want to keep plugging Building Bad Wormhole. So these guys, Matt King and Daniel White, are doing a version of what Jake and I are doing. So they're getting together, they're working on the same comic in real time, like not live streaming, but recording, and as it progresses. So I've watched the first 2 episodes. Number 3, I believe, I think Matt's putting them out early every Monday morning, which is really sweet because that's like my breakfast treat for that. So that's all I got, Jake.
All right, folks, thanks for tuning in every Sunday, 10 a.m. ish. We go live drawing and discussing. So join us again. You can also check out our other tabs on our YouTube landing page. We have the Comics That Influence, where we do flip throughs, just like the ones I just did. We do flip throughs of individual comics and stacked. You can check out. We did the first 20 issues of Commandy one by one, and we did read throughs and dialogue and everything. And then we also have the Indie Creator Exchange, which Kurt just spoke about. We're getting that back in gear as the year progresses. So check us out. And if you're bored and it's late and you don't know what to do, go back and watch some random episode that we did, because I'm finding them interesting. As time marches on, to see where we are now, and the stuff we were talking about back then might be interesting to other people too, especially if you're working on drawing or doing something and you just want to occupy your brain. So that's what we're good for, folks. And check out next week. We'll be back. And during the week, if you find anything cool that you want to bring to our attention, you can just add it to Do Mags on Instagram, Do Mags on Twitter, Do Mags on Substack, and the YouTube page here. Also got domags.com. And I sold another copy. I had to send out another copy. I don't know where these are coming from. They're just coming on email, and I got to ship them out. But it's nice. I guess the word's getting out. Imagine if we really promoted.
Travis definitely got one, so he's been reading it. So yeah, things are happening. But yeah, this is really getting excited. We got our first fully formed comic book done. 4.5 years.
It's about time. Yeah. And
every Sunday, 3 hours of Sunday.
So check us back out at domags.com. All right, folks. See you next time. Thanks, Kurt.